It's fine. It's fine.
Hello, everybody out there in the internet. Apologize for whatever that crinkly, crackling sound is on RPGs, and I'm gonna guess that's RPG because that's just we all know
It
it's him. We all know
is
it's him.
me. It
So
is.
yeah, Chris Adams, Taken Master. This is episode 387, Aimless Babel Z. I'm also joined by.
RPG Maniaco 5.
And Trioptical.
That was a bit of a sloppy intro. Whatever. We're
It
back. It's been a
was.
long time.
Oh my gosh, we need to get it together, guys. We gotta
RPG's
get it
totally
together.
asking me like pertinent questions about non-pertinent things. It's like, whoa,
I know, and he was
whoa.
all trying to dodge it,
And
so
then I
that's
was
why
like
we
answering
started
the
the
question,
podcast like
and he's
that.
like putting words in my mouth. I was like, "Whoa, that is not what I said."
I mean, you did not say it, so I mean, technically, I wasn't wrong.
Anyway, this episode we got so much been playing, lots to catch up on. Weekly segment about $60 games. Pfft, F that crap. I can just wait like a week or two, not even like 6 months. That game's cheap. Why would I buy it day one? Suckers. Publishers don't know what they're doing. Losers. And some news, I guess, or whatever, and thingies and stuff. See what you've been playing. On the handheld side, I don't know, dude. It's weird. I just like space out now at lunch when I'm at work. It's weird. I can't. I like either space out or I like be on my phone or I start to play something and I'll fall asleep and it's weird. It's just like I don't know, old man syndrome. I don't know. It's weird. So not much to report there on the handheld front. On the console side though, oh man, let's get to it. So, let's see. Gran Turismo Sport, I did pick that up in one of the holiday sales, and I was playing it. And yeah, it's pretty much just all the good things I said during the betas. Like, they made it more accessible. It's very fun. There's a level up system. Every day, it gives you a thingy okay, not a thingy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's been a long time,
A
guys.
thingy that you drive.
And maybe this year I can cut down on thingy usage, but I don't know. It's just the way I talk. I'm sorry, but So they give you this meter that you fill every day when you're driving the cars in the game, and once you fill that meter for your daily workout, they call it, which is weird because it's like you're not really doing anything at all. It's like you get a free car randomly, and it's like, oh, and like you can get any of them, and there's like so many, and there's so many cool ones. You can get duplicates though, and you can't sell them back. You can just delete them. So that's kind of lame. But when you get like a really awesome one or a really rare one, it's like, oh yeah, it feels so good. So it's like it gives you that incentive to play every day, and then as you're playing every day, there's also like all these other little meters that you fill. They're called achievements, I think. And then like there's circle bars or circle meters. It's circle gauges, whatever you want to call them. Once the circle fills, you get something, pretty much. And so there's like mileage ones, there's like car collection ones, there's spending ones, there's all these other ones. It's really well done. It's just very approachable, and they made it very, very not super too off-putting if you're like a newcomer or just like can't get into like sim racing. It's very, very nice the way they did that. And I'm very much enjoying it. When I was playing it before, I jumped into Monster Hunter because man, I gotta say that game. Woo! I will get to that game last because man, we've all been playing that one, and it's a fun ride to Funville. But before we get there, I also played some. Okay, so I was gonna do this thing where I was like playing games I hadn't played that are on my PS4 or at least on my external drive because I've got so many. And then I started up Metronomicon Slay the Dance Floor. It's the DDR fix in your life if you've been missing it. It's a bit more in depth than that 'cause there's a lot of weird RPG elements and like battles. There's like an entire battle system layer. It's super cool. It's hard to explain, but basically you have like 4 or 5 characters, I can't remember, and like once you hit their patterns, you can like trigger an attack, or you can trigger it earlier or later to do like more or less damage. And then either you have monsters on the screen that come on and you tag them with your attacks and abilities. It's pretty cool. And like you have a health bar, you have mages to heal you, and you have to make sure they're healing you, like or they can buff you. And like you have offensive mages that like do damage spells, so it's pretty cool. And then you basically just like go through and like level up and get equipment and items. It's pretty cool. Like it's like not only will this fill the hole of DDR that is you wanted to be in life that is no longer there. You can just like play the dance mode and like do that stuff, or you can just like go through the story mode, which is pretty funny and just like fanciful. Like there's this dance kingdom where dance is going on, and we must do the dance thing to save the world, and it's very
So it's
really,
basically like Flashdance in video game form. What are we gonna?
I don't know about that, but
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
it's
That's what we're doing in
it's,
life. That's what we're doing.
it's not exactly that. It's very whimsical and out there, but it's very fun and worth checking out if you want to check that out. So yeah,
Wait, what console is this on?
it's on PS4. I played it on PS4. It's probably on. I think it's third party, so it's on everything: PC,
Oh.
Xbox, maybe Switch. Who knows?
What is it? And what's it called? Metronomicon?
Yeah, the Metronomicon Slay the Dance Floor is the subtitle.
Slay the dance floor.
Just a quick hit. Battlefront 2. I did play through that because I got it free with my Pro. It's pretty good. I mean, it's the story. I enjoyed it. It was okay. It's funny, dude, to me because it's like it did the thing where it like connected the dots between episodes 6 and 7, and I'm just like, huh. Now that they explain that, that kind of is better than like just not having that info. So why Disney did you just like not do that? Whatever, it's whatever. If you're like, oh, where'd the Third Order come from? And it's like, oh, that's where it came from. Oh, it's like, oh, fills in the like really big blank. You just like left there and like didn't explain the movies. So, whatever. That's all I gotta say about that. It was
Explaining things is hard.
But then I saw Last Jedi and kind of was like, so you know, I'm at peace. It's like Mass Effect 3 ending for me because it's like I feel very polarized and like one way. I'm like a 50-50. I'm a bit love and hate with that. I don't have like a lot of hate, but it's just like there's a lot of things that irk me, and some things I like. And it's just like I'm not like other people that are just like, okay, it's like I'm not that bad.
Just like that.
Yes, just like that with their pitchforks as they march on the Disney Kingdom castles.
No.
Don't come for Disney, guys. Don't come for them. I will come for you.
They have actual castles.
They do. They have actual castles.
Sort of.
And I have a particular set of skills that I've gathered over this long career. And if you come for Disney, I will find you, and I will hurt you.
But yeah, besides that, the only other game I've been playing, I think I've logged over 200 hours already. Monster Hunter World.
Oh my.
It is
More than me.
It's a great return to form for the beloved game. I had forgotten why I loved it so much. And then, okay, here's the whole thing, okay? It's like, you know, Tekken has been going through this terrible relationship with this D person, or whatever we're going to call it. And it's like, you know, playing this game, it's just, you can see, what the F, man? Like, this is the way it's supposed to be! It's like, all the things that, like, irk me about that game are just so much better in this game. And I'm just like, man, yeah. But then it's like, you know, I just that was like one day, and then like, you know what, I'm not gonna look back anymore. I'm just gonna be playing this and happy fun times, and that's all that's happened. Because man, I gotta tell you, story may not be there, and it's like okay, whatever, but gameplay, and then like the loot grind loop is just like that. Whatever the French people say, minifie, whatever, blah blah. It's just so good.
Wow, that didn't even sound French.
I especially like the blah blah part.
Yeah, that part sounded French. Just the rest of it, I was concerned about.
So yeah, and it's just got so much charm and heart and like whimsy, Japanesey stuff, like the whole Palico thing. Like because I had not been following the game. I just like saw the trailer at E3 when like whatever they showed. And I was like, okay, I'm getting it day one, whatever. Because like it's been a long time, Monster Hunter, and I'm glad to have you back. And then I did not know that they had incorporated all these things into the game because it's been a long time. Because you know, Monster Hunter 1 on PS2, and then I played like one of the PSP ones. I was like, you know what, this isn't as fun without your friends. And I was like, I'm out until it's back on console. It's been a long time, and it came back, and then you start the game, you make your character, and they're like, hey, you also get to have a Palico, and it's like a little cat thing. It's like, this is adorable. And I was like, I'm going to make it blue, really bright blue. And I kept getting comments from people of like, you have a very blue cat in my stream. And I was streaming, and I was like, I know. It's like, isn't it great? It's just like, that's what I wanted. It's like, I stuck the landing. It's great. And then like they get abilities and stuff you can define, and you can put armor on them. It looks adorable. It's just yeah, man. The Palico stole my heart. And then like when you play that cutscene when they go to like do their little tail raider thingies, and it's like I was like dude, I just want like a spin-off Palico game where I'm a Palico and we go do Palico adventures. It'll be fun time.
In Ultimate you can play as a Palico, or in 4 Ultimate.
And then I had like completely just like forgotten about like how this game works. for the most part. I mean, I knew it was like about like hitting monsters until they're like limping, and you're like, we almost got him, and you just like go in. But man, all the other stuff is just like getting the armor and like the pieces. But then it's all been like better. That's the other. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting like super excited. I'm sorry. Like I just have to like apologize like 1,000 times because like man, this game is just like so good. But like they have basically like all the grinding thingies from like the first game I played was like kind of was grinding it, and like you know like I mean like any other game I play where it's just like like this game it's like done so good where like you're eventually gonna get what you need. Like you just keep doing it. It's just like, okay, well, I'll get it eventually. I'll get it eventually, whatever. It's like, I gotta kill this monster 20 times, but I know I'm gonna, like, get this thingy that's, like, a super rare drop. But I'm not gonna, like, be locked out of it, or, like, be able to do it once a week, or whatever that other game does. Oh, and then, like, you know, just hate it.
He's talking about Destiny.
It's like, I'll just team up with my friends, and, like, help them do stuff, and while they're doing stuff, I'll get stuff, and I can still make stuff, and then there's so many things to make and do, and be like, oh, man, look at these different thingies of weapons and armor. And then when you finish the game, I don't think you finished the game, but no, it's like, okay, that's the other thing. It's like the pacing is just like so terrific of like the way they just like dish out the stuff or the content in the game, because it's like you're going along, and it's like, oh, Hunter, go investigate this thing. And it's like, okay, what's up with these tracks? Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a Pingarathian. Oh, I'm in high rank now. Oh, it's a completely different. Okay, it's not completely different armor sets, but it's like different materials because they're harder monsters for the armor sets, and they look cooler, and they give me better abilities. And it's like, and then you get to the okay. Here's the whole like other thing. It's like the whole like main thrust of like the first part of the story is like, we gotta find Zora Magdaros. We're hunting Zora Magdaros. Let's follow Zora Magdaros. And then you get to Zora Magdaros, and it's like a super easy fight, and you can just like super easily grind for that material and get his armor. And it's like, all right, I got the Zora Magdaros armor. And then the game's like, you thought that was the end, Hunter? No, that wasn't the end, because the other thing that we found out while we were fighting or trying to find Zora Magdaros is that once every 10 years, when Zora Magdaros appears and makes its magical journey to the new world, or old one, I don't remember, is that Negrigante shows up. And we don't know why. Why is Negrigante here? Go find out, Hunter. And then you go into expedition mode like you did for the Pingarathian and all that other crap.
Just like that.
and then you're like, oh, what do you know? Negrigante is an elder dragon, and these are the elder dragons, and it's all trying to eat on Zora Magdaros or something, and I gotta stop it so it doesn't before it makes its magical journey, and then doesn't blow us all up and stuff. And then you do it, and it's like, good job, Hunter. You have vanquished the Negrigante, but there is even more. And you're like, what? Because at this point, it's like 60 hours in or something. It's a long time. I don't know. I don't remember, dude. It was a long time, and it was like magical. And okay. Before I continue, I gotta say another thing about this game is like the first okay. No. Like the 3 arcs, like, cause like once you get to like the part after Negrigante, I'm not gonna spoil 'cause stuff happens. It's pretty awesome, and like there's even more. And it's like that's the thing. Like, okay, I'm sorry, I can't contain myself. So
you noticed.
So it's like it's kind of like a shonen, because like, you know, you start off super weak, and like as you keep going, you get more and more powerful, more and more weapons, more and more armor, and it's just like and then like, but that's the thing, it's like it never becomes like too much or too hard, or like you can always like, I feel like you can always like overcome. It's like very like small, like almost there, and then like you make it, and you're like and it feels amazing, and then. And like you like, go from like 0 to like hero, and then like you're hero, but you're like not all the way there, and it's like, oh, there's still more, and it's like, oh, can I do it?
Hercules!
And then like this whole time is just like a giant time sink, but it's like it feels just so like amazing because you're just playing, and like the time is like just melting away, and you're just like, oh, and like as you play the game, it's like on the screen is like glowing at you, and it looks amazing because it looks amazing, and it like plays amazing. It's just like a perfect game. It's just like, I mean, it's not perfect, so it's like weird stuff that's like, you know, what the f, like you didn't tell me this game, you didn't tell me that game. That's like my one arc thing is like the game does that thing where games do to you where it's like, it didn't tell you that thing, and then like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing, and it's like, oh, and then like in the loading screens, there's a lot of loading screens, like, oh, well, I'm trying to read it, but it loads so fast, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that, or whatever. And then, man, like, I'm just saying, like, the lack of friction that the game gives you as you make your magical journey into Monster Hunter Masterhood is just like, and then like you get there, and then you're not done, and you're like, oh, there's one more thing to do at the peak, and then you climb the peak, and you're like, mwahaha, and then the game's like, well, yep, good job, Hunter, here's the credits, and it's like, oh, well, that was very magical, and I feel super awesome. And
But even then, it's still not the end.
and that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like it keeps throwing more at you. It's like you're like in your brain. You're like, is that the end? And you keep going. And you're like, that wasn't the end. I wonder what's more. I wonder what's more. I wonder what's more. And like here I am, 200 hours later. And I'm just like, is there any more? And like, but I know there's more because people have told me about it. So I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to get to the thingy and see what the next thingy is. And it's just like it keeps getting like giving you like breadcrumbs to keep going, and then like. It doesn't put like giant barriers that smack you in the face like other games do, where it's just like, oh, you're enjoying your fun, or you're going to beat down on you and just like not let you progress, or just like make it super hard or super
You still talking about Destiny, guys?
frustrating or not fun, or just like break your soul and be like, oh, can't do enough DPS, or oh, you don't have this magical rocket launcher that does all these things, and then it's like,
He's talking about California.
It's like through your skill, through your strats, through your armor builds or whatever builds, your character builds, whatever, you can just like overcome all these things, and it's just like it's such a magical experience, and it's so good, and it's just you get to play with friends or solo, and then it's just the best. And then after you've climbed that final peak, which I'm not gonna talk about because it's kind of spoiler, I don't want to spoil it for people because it's super awesome. And then you're like, what's after that? And they're like, every monster can go over 9,000, and you're like, what? And they're like, yeah, and you're like, oh my goodness. And then like the materials they drop, and you can make even more awesomer thingies from your awesome thingies, and it's like I can make my thingies more awesome that are awesome thingies. Like this game,
It's a lot of awesome.
this game is like so good, and it does like it scratches all the itches of like my psychological ticks of like why I play games and like why I like to play games, and just like. It was like a deep tissue body massage, like full all over after like the psychological trauma of 2017.
Happy ending?
So,
Yeah.
so it's like I really needed this game at this time of my life, and like I think like just dumping hours into it and just like not being able to stop playing, and it's doing it over, and it's so good. And then like Devil Joe's coming soon, and it's just like I gotta be ready, and like it's just such a good like such a good loop of like loot and game and just loop and game, and like the story that's like sprinkled in is good enough. It's like even though it's weird and your handler is weird, doesn't have like a proper name and calls you pard, whatever.
Her name is the Handler. I mean, what's so difficult about that? Clearly her first name is the, and her last name is Handler. I mean, it's a thing. People have the last name Handler.
But yeah, Monster Hunter is a
Weird that they would name her the,
Joey.
but I mean...
Richard.
I mean...
Those sound right.
Sounds appropriate.
besides like the weird irksome things the games didn't tell you, and like the weird things about like what in the story and the characters was like they're kind of not really fully baked, but whatever, you're having fun. Doesn't anybody really care? Make fun of their names because the handler and the smithy, whatever it is. It's a magical, masterful, majestic masterpiece of a game. I salute you, Capcom. And I'm glad you brought it back to consoles, and I'm glad it blew up the sales charts. And I hope every effing developer out there is taking effing notes on how to effing make a right effing grind game. And
He's talking about Bungie.
because this is how you effing do it. Oh, that's the other thing. It's like your armor. You can like change the color and like all this other stuff on them. And it's just like, oh, it was just magical when like, man, like I saw this fedora for like the brigade armor, and it looked, and then like made me look super like, and then like you put the full set on and you look like red mage. And I was like, and then like you can do certain things like when you change the color and stuff and it looks so cool. It's just like, oh my goodness, it's just But yeah, that's the other thing. Oh my god, RPG. I'm so glad you said that. It's like basically another thing you can do in this game that you can't do in that other game is you can like have like a specific loadout and like save it, and you can save like 28 or so. Like there's way more than 28. You
It's
can
like
save
30 something.
You can do it's a lot of
100.
effing. Yeah, you can save a lot of things. Like if I want to say I want to have this armor with this weapon type, so I can have like specifically for this water monster. You can just like go in and then set it, and then you can rename it whatever you want to. It's like I want to rename it like Water Monster or Kill Water Monster or Whatcha, whatever.
I have one called Die Kieran. She knows what she did. She knows what she did.
So you can go in and make specific builds, specific loadouts for specific monsters, and it is so satisfying. And you can do the same thing with the items and be like, I want to have my item, what I carry out in this mission, in my item pouch, be this, this, and this. Or like nothing at all, so I can just go out and gather things. Or I want to have my flash bombs and my dung pods and my scream pods and all my healing items, or just like stuff to throw down against an elder dragon, or throw down against whatever. If it's going to be Valhazaka, I have my null berries handy, so I can just sprinkle them all over me and be like, oh, you didn't touch me, mother effer, and then you know it's magical. And then the flipping cherry on the effing top is radial menus, dude. Like I think maybe Andromeda did this, whatever. I don't care. It's whatever. Like this game does like all these things, and it just like is like so good. Of like it does all these things, and it does this too. And it's like it just gives. It's like that's the other thing. It's like when you're playing the game, and it just keeps going and going and going, getting better, getting better, getting better. And then like you're playing it, and it's like, guess what? You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. And you're like, where game is this? It's like, I don't know, man. And then I was like changing my radio menu, and I was like, dude, I can effing change my radio menu to have like healing. It gives you 4 of them, so you can like, okay, so up, down, left, right on D-pad, like is how you change to like your 4 different radio menus. And in your radio menus, you can change what's on them. So it's like you can have one for healing, one for buffing, one for communicating or emotes or whatever. It's like, hey, remember that game that game I've been like, not trying to say. I'm not going to say the name of that game because I have that game.
About Destiny again.
It's like, oh, all the times you'd be like, oh man, if only we had hotkeys. Oh man, I would like to have a hotkey for like heavy ammo synthesis. Wouldn't that be great? This game's like, hey, middle finger, you other effing game that you're terrible, I'm never going to play anymore.
Destiny.
Because we do it so well here in Monster Land. That's so magical, majestic, and masterful, unlike the other game. It's like, oh, guess what? We have four radio menus. And you can put whatever the F you want on them, and you can even rename them. It's like you can rename all that loadouts. You can like name the thingies, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna call this one healing mode. Yeah, okay, yeah. It just. I don't know what to say. I can't say good enough good things about this game. Oh, yeah, so good. Just Monster Hunter. It just came through and cleansed me from all the last 12 months of humanity. Thank you, Monster Hunter.
Question: do you like Monster Hunter?
I do.
Because I couldn't tell. I can't tell.
It touched me in my crit spot when I needed it the most.
And when I think about you, I touch myself.
And then when I evolved my final form, I ascended from all the weirdness that I was going through. And now I live there. Like your Negigante that eats on other dragons, and I will just eat on other things, and I'm like, and that's how I came to be the Monster Hunter person. But that's all I've been playing, so that's just me. So, yeah.
So a few notes about the whole Monster Hunter thing. So I mean, they did make this one a bit more accessible than the previous games in the series. So that's probably why it's a bit more. I guess like it's doing a bit better than the other titles, because it's like in the previous games, because I mean Tropical has touched on this before when he's tried to play them and has failed to do so, is that you kind of like there's a lot of things that are like barriers to entry, where it's like the armor skills or like finding out information about the monsters and like using certain weapons and things like that. But they've kind of streamlined it so that people who are new to this series can still enjoy it, while people who are more experienced in the series can still like do that kind of stuff. So it's not just like super easy where it's just like, oh, I played the other ones, I don't like this because it's too easy, or it's like, oh no, this is too hard, I can't play it because I can't, because I'm not like a Monster Hunter.
Don't understand.
Exactly. So it's like it's kind of like a nice little balance, so that people who are new can still enjoy it, while people who are more experienced can still enjoy it, and and without everybody being all pissed at the others if they don't know how to play, or if somebody's too good and they're just like, oh, I don't want to play with this person because it's too intimidating, that kind of thing. So it's made it a lot easier. So it's like now you don't have to worry about doing like spreadsheets and stuff to try to figure out all your like stat builds and strategies and elements and all this other stuff. And now they actually have monster guides within the game, so you can look up the monster's weaknesses and everything. So it's not just like you're searching all over line and having people who are like, oh, well, I tested this 6,000 times, so that way I can figure out that this thing is weak against water and all that stuff. So now it's like a handy guide inside of the game, so that way you can do that. And then it also seems like they've kind of made it easier for the loot drops too, so you're not like the desire sensor isn't against you like it was in the other games, where it's like, okay, I'm never going to get this item because in this game I've gotten so many plates. In previous games, it's like you have to fight like 40,000 monsters just to get one plate, and it's like, well, this is fine. So yes, they have made it a bit more accessible, which is probably why it's kind of working better than previous games in the series, because it is good. It is good that they did that, because it's just you can scare a lot of people off if your game is too like, if the learning curve is too high, because I'm just like, I don't know if I want to invest time in this, because I don't want to be terrible, and people are going to make fun of me, and then they're going to be like, I don't want to play with you, and then it's going to hurt my feelings and all this other stuff. It's like, oh,
I got rejected by Tekken when he was playing Gigante.
Wow.
It was really funny. I was like, oh, I'll join you. He was like, what? Don't join mine.
Wow. Well, Tekken, way to be terrible.
And Gamer and I were like, he was like, well, I'm trying to get the SOS A team.
Wow.
That's man, SOS dude. That is like another mechanic. It's like you can just send up a flare, and like awesome people will join you and like do all the hard work for you. That was just like, yeah. Sorry, Topical. That's like what I was like, dude. No, dude. No, I was like, I got a bad signal here. You're not Batman, so just take a rain check on that.
I think too, the whole drop in, drop out for quest things is another thing you could not do in the previous games. It's like you either started with people or you didn't, because that is how that worked. So now people can jump in and join you if you need help, and you can fire off in the middle, and you can even change your equipment and stuff too in the middle of quests, which you couldn't do previously either, which is very, very useful for fighting multiple monsters on quests, because before you had to just kind of like make like a happy medium type thing and just like hope it all worked out when you go into a quest, but now you can switch mid-quest if you have to. So there's a lot of things that are great, so it's like it's not just like so punishing like the previous games were just like, okay, I can't do this, man. so yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I kind of yeah.
The grind part is pretty crazy in this game. Like when Destiny was, new and stuff, when we sort of talked about how it feels like there's not that much stuff, and I sort of said, it's like, well, it's because, like you can never make enough content that people will have new stuff to play all the time. So that's why there's grind. It's like, oh, if you put no grind in, then everyone's finished with your game in like 5 hours, and I was like, okay, now I'm just done forever.
Done forever.
But Monster Hunter, like, there is so much stuff. It's just like a ridiculous amount of stuff. And I was like, how? Like, so for me, and okay, so I'm not going to go over Monster Hunter anymore as far as like descriptive and how good it is, because I think we pretty much covered that.
Also, I just want to say like one more thing is that like when you're building up your Astera village in the very beginning before you get like it fully maxed out, like the magicalness of seeing it like grow and grow and grow in all the different little compartments, like the tree part and the chef part, and then how like they continue like to help you out when you're going to the mission. It's just like it's so good. It just builds upon itself and upon itself and upon itself. And you're just like ow, and it's just like so great, so great.
Yes. But yeah, I am the Monster Hunter noob here. Like, Tekken's actually played old ones, and I have... I guess I can't really say I've played them. I own some, but I'm just like I have no idea what I'm doing in this game, and it's like, whatever. I want to play multiplayer, but it's like super hard, and also I'm no good at this game, and I can't get there, and it's just like it's just very difficult.
And people were very elitist in the previous ones, so it's like.
So yeah, this one, I'm like super impressed by how much stuff there is that you can go for. Whereas yeah, with Destiny, it's like we kind of have everything that we care to have already, and it hasn't been that long. So I've been playing with a lot of people, and I've learned so much in the last few weeks about Monster Hunter. One thing is like the weapons are all really, really different feeling, it seems like. Not that I've tried all of them. In fact, my brother says that I have yet to actually play Monster Hunter in the way that people do, because I spent the first 100 hours using different bows.
You did. You're such a noob.
Like, there's no sharpening or any of that stuff. It's just like, shoot 'em.
You haven't felt our struggle, Tropical. You haven't felt our struggle.
And then the next weapon I went to was I'm now playing Gun Lance.
Oh God.
Which is like, It's like I've barely sharpened this weapon. I mean, I've done it a little bit, but I've like watched people and like they're sharpening way more than I do and moving around way more than I do. It's like, so yeah, he was like, well, then you still really haven't played Monster Hunter the way other people do. He was like, oh, great. Because yeah, Gunlance is
That's a strange weapon to start with. I should just point that out. I don't know why you went straight to that, but I mean, I guess.
I was like, I'm gonna do range stuff. And I tried Gunlance. It's like, oh, it's not really ranged. It's like a melee weapon. It's like, well, that's cool then. I'll just have a melee weapon, but it'll be kind of different. And also, you know how I like to make weird characters in RPGs? Like, you know, tanks that have no health and stuff like that. Pocket Dynamite.
Pocket Dynamite.
And so, yeah, originally I was like, okay, I'm going to do bows, because I understand, like, people don't really play with bows in this game, so I'm just going to play with bows and see what that's like. And I did it, and then I was, like, doing missions with randos and stuff, and there are a ton of people using bows.
I was just about to say, a lot of people actually use them.
Yeah, like, bows are, I guess, way better in this one than earlier versions. Just, like, less punishing. There was, like, equipment restrictions and stuff in previous ones.
Well, in the previous ones, ranged weapons, this includes the bowguns too, require that you have a different armor set. So, and they were far weaker too, so it's very easy to die as a ranged character.
Not the weapons, just like the armor that you have to wear is far weaker.
It is, yeah.
So yeah, like there was none of that, and so I would often end up in missions with randos where it was just like everyone was using bows. Just like, this is not what I expect. This is not what I wanted to go for. So I have a lot of the bows. I'm still trying to get all of them. But I decided that, you know, I'm gonna try something else. Like, what have I not seen like at all? It was like, I haven't seen any gun lances, and it was partially, you know, I'm gonna do range specialist.
You can't.
Yeah,
that's not how gun lances work.
Gun lance is close range. Well, I guess there's other gun lances that I haven't tried yet.
No, they're all. I mean, all the weapons are melee except for the bow and the bow guns. Everything else you have to. It's.
Oh, I did do heavy bow gun for a while, it's really cool, but it's I think it's easiest to use when you're with a team. When you're alone, like, stuff takes... I'm not good enough to dish out a ton of damage really quickly, so the missions take a long time. But if I'm with a team, then it's like, oh, we can wreck them pretty quickly. But yeah, Gunlance. I found out about guard. I was like, oh, you can block stuff in this one? And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I just decided that it's like, when I told Dagger, I was like, oh, I'm going to try Gunlance. She was like, oh, so you're going to turtle. And I was like, turtle?
Yeah. It's the common strategy for Lancers, because they had the gigantic shield, so...
Yeah, I was playing with a person against a Tempered Valhazak. It was just two of us because it was a two-person quest, and they were just like turtling it. And I was like, man, I need to use a lance because this is like it's totally working for them.
Turtling in this is really fun once you got the equipment. Like, originally I was just using the equipment that I was...
It's like the like wrong button pushed at the wrong time. It's like, it's okay.
It could get you killed, yeah.
Originally I was just using the armor that I was using with my bow, which in the end was the Legiana set.
You really aren't playing Monster Hunter like everybody else. Get it.
Which was like, it lets you charge the bow to a third level. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. I want to see that. And I tried it, and it wasn't that different. Like, it felt kind of the same. And I had all these things. Well, so apparently, like, the attack skill doesn't affect bows as much as melee weapons. And I had level 6 attack, and I was like, oh yeah, I've had this the whole time, and it doesn't really feel that different. And someone told me, he's like, well, it doesn't really do that much for bows. I'm like, oh, great.
Oh,
so I've
yeah,
just wasted all of my skills on a thing that wasn't really working.
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, even though, like I said, in the previous ones you needed different armor sets for the ranged and melee weapons, like, they did at least at that one element where it's like the Blade Master and the, I think it's Gunner or something is what it's called in this one. That still exists in terms of some of the skills. Like those, like there's a skill called Free Element that's coupled with the shot one too. So it just affects depending on what you're using, it affects it differently. So it's like if you're using a melee weapon, then it does the Blade Master skill, which is the Free Element one, and if you're using the ranged weapon, then it gives you, I think it's like the free ammo up or something like that. I forgot what it does, but yeah.
Yeah, basically, like that part still is not that clear to me. Like, there's a lot of skills where, especially when I was using the bow, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work out. Like, I don't know if this is something that is gonna help me. Like focus. Focus lets you charge faster, it says.
Yeah.
And I was like, does that work for when I'm holding, like drawing the arrow with the bow? Because there's a charge meter there. But then I did it, I was like, I don't know if this is really affecting it that much. And so I ended up just having this one with the extra level of charge, and then just some other random things that I didn't really care about. Like, that was the thing that I wanted to see. And since it didn't really do that much, that's when I was sort of pushed to like, alright, I'm going to try another weapon. And I went with Gun Lance, went and just like upgraded the normal iron one all the way up to however much I could get it to. And then just started playing around, and it's like, oh, guarding is really fun. It's it feels really weird though. It's like oftentimes you're just sort of standing underneath the monster, and you're like poking it from beneath with a stick
in the butt.
You're like, that's kind of cool. And then I discovered, so I started looking into like, okay, how do I augment this with skills? And I ended up with a so I have maximum guard, I have maximum something called flinch free brace, flinch free, which like prevents knockback and tripping. And then I got this thing from the it's like that roly bone thing, but not that one.
Ding dong.
The other one,
Ergon.
The one that starts with O.
That's the funny thing about Monster is like we've given like weird names to everything because like all the names are weird. In Japanesey or just not easy to pronounce.
Yeah. And so I got that, and then so his set bonus is you can guard things that are normally unguardable. So now I'm like, oh, I'm a tank now. And I go into missions, and I've just been trying to block everything, and it's pretty fun. Like, it's just that's sort of the empowering thing that like Destiny lacks. Like Destiny, you'd never really feel super powerful, and this is like, I remember fighting these guys with my bow, and I just had to run everywhere and just like constantly be in terror. And then now it's just like I can block everything. That all the laser attacks that various dragons have, the blue one, the green beam, like you can block
beams,
everything.
The rainbow.
The blue one is particularly fun. Like, I found out that if it hits you straight on, then people can hide behind you, and they're
blue,
like,
who shoots a blue beam? What are you even? Who is?
It's Xeno.
Oh, Xenosaga.
Yeah,
that one.
Genova.
Genova.
I just call him Xenosaga.
It's the blue beam. And the first time, like, it started shooting, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna walk into the beam and see if I can block it."
Seems legit.
And I walked, like, I slowly inched towards it, and I was like, "Oh, it's blocking! It's blocking!" And not like taking any damage. I was like, "That was awesome!" And then the next time, but then like someone asked me, "Is like, oh, can like I hide behind you then, and then I won't get hit?" And I was like, "I'm not sure, because the beam is really thick, and I can only block like part of it." And so, you know, maybe you can't. But then, like, one time it hit me straight on, and like the beam just ends at my shield, and behind me there's nothing. And I was like, "This is awesome!" And so, yeah, like that's what I I like to do now. I'll like run in front of people who are stunned and then like block attacks. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Like I used to do in Paragon. Rip. But
which brings me to my embarrassing death. It was
Yes!
I answered an SOS. Like it's not that great a story, but it was I felt super stupid afterwards. Like I answered an SOS flare, and it was that mission Tickled Pink, where it's just like an Anjanath in the desert.
oh,
And I was like, oh, this is fine. You know, I'm not even like really paying attention to these SOSs because they're not, you know, they're sort of low level now, and I have my super tank build. I'm just gonna go in and do whatever. And I was fighting with everyone, and like they kept dying. Like the other people kept dying, and I was like, I don't understand. Like this is not that hard. Why are you guys dying so much? And we got it down to basically dead. And then but I was hurting as well since I hadn't healed or anything. And I was like, okay, I should probably heal now. So I put down a health booster, which if you don't play the game, like you have to like put away your weapons and stuff most of the time to put down any of the equipment. I put down the health booster, and it like ran past me like from behind. So it was like it blindsided me and like knocked me over. I was like, oh shoot, I have like a speck of health left. And it turned around, and I could see it rearing up to do its fireball thing. And instead of blocking, I'd like tried to roll out of the way, and like messed it up, and like rolled towards it, and just got engulfed in flames. It was like quest failed, and everyone's like, I imagine, no, because it was like down to its last hit. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so bad. That's my fault. I mean,
after making fun of everybody for dying,
you guys died a whole bunch of times, but I died on the one that mattered, and I totally could have avoided it by just pushing one button. Like it was a one-button solution
you're a tank.
to get out of that. And I was like, I'm not playing this anymore.
Way to go! Way to go!
So I haven't played since. It's been a few days.
Because I haven't seen you online. I was like, what is tropical? So I guess that explains that.
That was doing so well. The tank strategy is like, yeah, this is working really well. And there's like a mantle that you can put on that makes monsters attack you.
Oh yeah, the Challenger mantle.
And
That's
it's
probably
like
good for your build.
Yeah, it's like super cool because you'll see everyone get hit by the tornado thing, the tornado dragon, and then they'll all be like, oh, scrambling, I can't move. And I'll just like, no, I got this, guys. And I'll put down the health booster right under me, and then put on the mantle, and then it'll just like focus its attacks on me for a few seconds, and everyone can run away and heal. It's like, oh, this is great. I'm helping.
That's one of the things I like about this game as well, is like it'll still humble you when you think you're the best. But the thing is though, like what Tropical was saying, when like the whole he's helping thing, it's like it's one of those things where you can kind of customize it to your own playstyle, and there's no right way to be like necessarily like in Destiny, like how people used to be like, oh, if you don't have a Gallahorn, GTFO kind of thing. So it's like with this, it's like you don't have to have a specific build or a specific weapon. You just need to have a build that works for you, and you're still able to help and do things. So it's like there's different things you can do. So even if people aren't, so I mean, there are some things that people just do where it's just like easier stuff, because there's a lot of long sword users in the game because it's one of the newbie friendly weapons, so it's you'll see a lot of those. But then you just like stranger weapons like the gun lance or the hunting horn, which I main, and then stuff like that. It's like you won't see as often. So it's like,
says the axe blade person.
I haven't
seen you use a hunting horn once. RPG. I was expecting a hunting horn, and I've not seen you use it once.
I have been using it while you're not playing with me. But the thing is, though, it's one of those things where it requires, like, even though it's my main weapon, it requires a setup for it to be effective. So I can't just straight out just start using one, because the weaker horns are not they don't have the greatest of melody combinations where it's like, well, let me just buff your attack deflection, because then everybody's like, GTFO, brah, GTFO. We don't need you for this. So it's one of those things.
I will do it.
So it's like I need to. So it's like, yeah, I do. Like I've been using the switch axe because it's my damage dealer, and I can do it to gather material so I can get my better horns. So it's like I'm in the process of getting all the horns in the game, but I do use the horn online when I'm helping people and stuff, because now I have the better horns, which have better melody combinations, so there's more useful. Because I mean, before it's like I wouldn't be able to do much. I'm getting eaten by Anjanath right now, so it's like it wouldn't. There's other things like that was So yeah, so it's like there are weapons in the game that you will rarely see. Some that you will see more than others, but it's like it's good. It's nice that you can kind of have your own play style and your own, and you can like find your skills that work better for how you play. So while Tropical may pick a build that works for him to turtle better, so he can like block pretty much anything and like protect his teammates. There's other people who use a gun lance that do it to like break off monster parts and stuff. So they're not necessarily trying to go for blocking damage like he is. So it's like so even using the same weapon, people play them differently. So it's not just like there's no right way to play a weapon or right play style. You can kind of just play how you want and still be useful to the people you're playing with, or to yourself if you're just playing solo and things like that. So it's kind of nice to not necessarily be bogged down by basically everybody having to have the same weapon and the same armor and the same stuff and the same skills to do things like that other game that Tekken doesn't want to talk about. So it's like it's
like a lot of games do end up like that. Like I wonder, do you think there is sort of an optimal build for every?
Not every game,
or is there just like tons of
I think there's
optimal
tons,
builds
because
that it doesn't matter?
Because like when I got to the part where you fight Nergigante, and that was one of my walls, is like when I was getting SOS help from it, I'd see like a bunch of different people with a bunch of different weapon types. It wasn't just like one specific thing, and I was like, oh, I see how like why they would use that, because I saw like a bunch of lance people, because like obviously you can just like guard and like poke him in the eye and like break his horns and crap. But it's like there's also people using like other stuff besides that would join my thing to help me. They're just like really good with that weapon type, or just like to use it, I guess. So it's not just that's useful in that situation.
I think and not only that, I'm pretty sure they intentionally made it so that there is no optimal, because I mean there's so many different skills on the different armors and everything. Oh, and this time around it's a bit, like I said, it's a bit more forgiving with the armor skills, because before you had to like put gems on them to equal up to a certain amount in order to for it to work.
Oh, but now it's just like diminished amounts.
But now it's just like the levels, yeah. So it's not just like, so you still have the skill, but now it's like you're just not as powerful as the fully leveled version of it would be. Whereas in the previous one, you had to have at least plus 10 in the slots before it even activated at all. Yes. So it's like that's why I kind of like people. It's kind of like there's things that were about that were kind of like a barrier to entry for new people. Where it's just like, oh my gosh, I have to like factor in stat numbers and all these other things too. It's like there are people who actually made spreadsheets and things about that, and it's just yeah. But this one, like I said, it's a bit more accessible. But even then, like I said, you can build your own. I mean, at least in this one, now you can mix and match armor sets. So now you don't, like I said, you don't have to worry about the whole plus 10 and all that stuff. So you can mix and match now and get the skills you want that could work for whatever type of build you're trying to do. So it's not like you have to have a full armor set of one thing for it to be like, oh, nope, like if I don't have these arm pieces or something, this set won't work, or kind of thing. So it's like you can still have the skills. There'll be weaker versions of it, but you can mix and match to like do different things. Because there's like a set that we've been working on, or that's like part Val Hazak and part Nergigante, that basically constantly heals you, and then the higher your health is, the more damage you do. So it's like, so as long as you're constantly at full, it basically kind of helps you stay at full health, and basically increases your damage at the same time by doing it. So it's like there's different things for different. I mean, obviously I don't use that build for my hunting horn, but I use it for like when I'm using. You could use it for like the switch axe and stuff like that. But it's like it's things where. Stuff like that, and you can kind of get hints on stuff like that from the arena, because they do give you mixed sets in the arena if you do them, since you can't pick your own equipment. So you can kind of get just like, oh, this is an interesting build, because it's like you'll kind of see the ability loadouts in the screens and everything. You'll see like random stuff activating. So there's no, like I said, there's no optimum build for anything. You can just kind of play around and enjoy yourselves and play with multiple weapons and not necessarily be bogged down to just like one weapon type, or it's like, oh no, if I don't play this, nobody's gonna want to play with me, that kind of thing. So it's yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then like for me as like a lapsed fan that has not played for like ever, when I got to the part where you get to the when you first get to Astera and like it goes into like the training session of like what weapon to use, and there's just so many that like I hadn't since I hadn't kept up. I was like, holy crap, there's like so many weapons now, I don't know what to choose. And then like
there's a lot.
And I was Sword and Shield before I started Sword and Shield, but like once I got the longsword, I was like, dude, this looks cool. This looks awesome. It looks like I have an effing katana, like a effing samurai. I'm using this effing longsword. Like, there's no discussion here. Look how awesome I look. So it's like, this is way cooler than some like lame Sword and Shield. Like, F that crap.
I should point out, I mean, the Sword and Shield, like I've used them in the arena because I don't really use them, because most people think of it as a new weapon. They've made changes to it over the years where it's initially it was just basically just what it says on the tin there. It's like Sword and Shield, but in other games they had it where you can like put oils on them, so it'll like boost you can like boost different abilities and stuff like that. But I don't think they did do that in this game. But the combos in this one make it a bit more useful.
Yeah,
because one, it has a mounting attack.
With it, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like you slide and you get like a aerial that like makes you go into the mounting position. It's like that's
exactly
awesome.
So it's like you have a mounting one, and then and you also can use weapons while it's out, unlike other weapons, or use items while it's out, unlike the other weapons where you have to like shoot them. So that makes it more useful. So it's like stuff like that. So like I said, different weapons, different like there's different playstyles for everybody. So you don't have to like be bogged down by whether or not you're using the right weapon or if you're using the weapon correctly or something, because that's not really a thing. So pick your weapon and have fun and experiment and do different stuff.
Yeah, and then like RPG said with the since he was using the switch hack to like get his materials to make his horn, it's like once you've gotten so far in the game, you can just switch weapons whenever and be like, let me experiment, because you already have like the materials to like make cool stuff. And then if you want to like make really good stuff, it's like, oh, let me make sure before I put like resources into this, that's like something that's fun and cool to use that I like.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing too with the weapons upgrading system. For the most part, you can roll back an upgrade if you if you don't want it, which you could not do in the previous one. You also could not preview them, so it's one of those things where yes, you were pretty much stuck with it if you did it and didn't know what you were getting yourself into. So it's like, well, and you get your materials back, so that's a nice change too. I mean, there are some of those whole if you roll it, if you go back, you can't go back kind of scenarios, but I mean, it does warn you beforehand, so you don't necessarily do it if you don't want to.
Yeah, I have all the super rare longswords except the arena one, because the last arena one is like a Diablos and Black Diablos, and then you have to use the loadouts. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. And it's like none of the weapons I'm familiar with, so I always had to do Sword and Shield with that one.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how to use any of these. I'll just come back later when I figure out what I'm doing.
I can help you do that one though if you want.
Yay! RPG's gonna help me.
Wait, is the gun lance good at like knocking parts off? Like I've noticed that a few pokes usually cuts off a tail.
I mean, technically any weapon could be if you have the right build. It's just that because the gun lance has like the bullet blast damage thing when it's attacking stuff, it kind of like boosts its attack power for stuff, and then so it kind of helps out with breaking stuff. And then if you put like gems on it that further boost that, then you can wreck body parts very quickly if you play properly. So it is pretty nice. Because there's certain weapons that are better at certain things than others. Like the hammers are good for stunning monsters and knocking them out of like their attacks and everything. So so things like that. Because the hunting horn also has like blunt damage, so it kind of works similarly to a hammer, but like a weaker buffing version of it kind of thing. So but yeah, so it's like I said, so you can kind of play however you want. You don't have to be like, oh no, I have to use this weapon, or I have to do this, and I have to do that. But there are certain weapons that are more popular than others, so there's that. But according to the first Wyverian, long swords are the most popular.
And hunting horns are not popular at all.
They are not, apparently, which is fine, because I mean, I still use them regardless, so I have saved lives. Because because my hunting horn build is pretty much built around a lot of healing too. Because I also have the friendship jewel, so I can heal people when I'm healing myself, and I also have the free meal ability, so I can pretty much get free, just like spam potions and stuff without actually using them, and just keep everybody at full health. And it's just like, yeah, you can't kill us, but we can kill you. We can kill you.
Cool.
Monster Hunter World, Aimless approved.
Yes, definitely Aimless approved.
It's a lot of fun. And the good thing, though, about Monster Hunter as well is that Capcom, I mean, at least with the previous ones, the DLC was free. So they would release it monthly, so it wasn't like you didn't know when it was coming, so it just happened. I mean, it wasn't always like gigantic expansions, but it was like a few things to keep you going. So it's not just like, oh, there's no more content, what am I going to do kind of situation. So that's
Is that what the events are, or is there actual like?
Yes and no, because sometimes they add like new weapons and stuff to the game. Yeah, so because like the previous ones, there was like they would add event quests that would get you like different like special weapons or like jokey like type weapons. So like in previous games, it was like the popcorn kernel for the gun lance users or the hot air balloon for the hunting horn users and stuff like that. So they have like little joke weapons and stuff like that, which they had as event items. So yeah, and they did it for free. So
well, this one they have the cool cross promotion with their other properties like Street Fighter and Mega Man. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of that, like, did you see us there that one time?
I did try to close. I heard something. I was like, "What is that noise? It sounds like someone shrieking." And I was like, "Oh, that's weird."
We're like, "Oh, let's go dress up as you," and then like go mess with Tekken. And we went up to the gathering area because we saw you were doing arena things, and then we were just like throwing Hadoukens and Shoryukens. Because so those are actually pay for ones. Like they're $4 each for each of these gestures. And my brother was like, I'm just gonna buy the Hadouken, and he bought it. And then we were just like going out and hunting, and he was like shooting fireballs at them. He was like, each fireball does 11 damage, but it's like hard to do lots of them in rapid succession.
The table tap turn. Now I should fire.
And then I was like, you know what? I'll get the other one just so we can see it. And I got Shoryuken and found out that you can use it. It does damage, but even less than Hadoukens do. It does 2 to 4 damage. But you can knock fellow hunters away.
You can save lives or troll.
Or troll them. Which I accidentally did. I went around and I was like doing them, and then a guy knelt down to gather some bones right as I hit him. And then the quest ended. I was like, oops, my bad.
And then the angry PSN messages begun.
Yeah, the emotes are fun. It was especially cool to learn that you could you can use the new emotes while not dressed as you. So you can shoot Hadoukens as whoever you want to be.
You don't have to be bogged down by labels.
It's fun. Yeah, I wish the special event armor was more comparable to regular armor. Although I guess as a gun lance user, my health hasn't mattered too much. I just have to remember, don't try to run. Combat.
Because you will get shot.
Combat, I mean, hold up your shield. Then you are invincible. You actually do lose health when you block. It's just like not that much. It's a reduced amount. But then where I am now, it's like it just does a tiny bit of like you lose green health, but then it restores back because it's still red.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not like that for all of the blocking weapons, because I mean, the charge blade and the sword and shield can both block as well, but I mean, they can only block certain things, and it doesn't always protect your health. So
this is as I was like gathering the pieces to get my skills up to max, it's just like the game would change ever so slightly, and I would always be like, "Woo!" Ever more delighted by how like cool I was becoming. Like having no knockback is so amazing.
Yep.
It is very useful.
It's usually like so the fastest move with the gun lance is like holding the shield out and then just like doing a quick jab with it. But it doesn't go very far. So when I first started out, I was getting like knocked back by these huge attacks I was blocking, and then I would have to like run over to do my jab. But now it's like the monster and I will be point blank face to face, and it'll do its like fireball or whatever, and then it does nothing, and I can immediately jab it in the face twice. I'm like, oh, this is great. No knockback, I block everything. And yeah, I just decided I'm just going to answer SOSs and help people get through the story. So I've been fighting lots of elder dragons, and it's been cool.
Yeah, helping people. I do like that mechanic too. The whole SOS thing is, and being able to join them. That's it's kind of fun. Because I'm like, I can be someone's savior,
Yeah, it's like,
or I can be their
hero.
doom. So.
Oh, the one SOS that like fails faster than any other one is the two Beetlejuices.
Ugh,
That one is insane.
that one. Ugh.
Zombie sort of, turtling down and sort of spinning left and right to block all the explosions around me, and everyone around me will just be dying. Like, there's not. I'm sorry. Like, there's nothing I can do.
It's like it's just chaos around me. Just chaos.
So yeah, that's well, I guess I don't remember if we talked about this. Paragon is shutting down, and so that's why
We
you
didn't,
heard
'cause it
about
happened over
no
the break.
Paragon. Yeah. So that's not really news anymore since it happened quite a while ago. But they basically said, you know what? We have no idea how we're going to make Paragon as popular as Fortnite. So we're not going to try anymore.
They gave up.
And but it's been really cool. Like my wife's in accounting, and so I've been trying to figure out like what does this mean for all the money that they collected. 'Cause it's super cool that they're saying, we're offering full refunds to everyone. If you bought something in Paragon, you're getting full refunds. And I'm just like, that is insane, right? Before they offered the refunds, and I was thinking of asking for a refund at one point because, I knew the end was coming. Because I spent a bunch of money like right before they announced that the game was going to end. Because I figured, like 2,000 hours, like that's a lot of game time, and I've only given you guys $20, and that just seems kind of wrong. And so I was like, I'm gonna get this, $100 costume pack or whatever, and then enjoy the next 1,000 hours that I'll play in 2018. And then they were like, nope, that's not gonna happen. And I was like, ah. So on the one hand, that makes me feel like I've wasted my money. Like I'm getting nothing. But on the other hand, isn't one of the problems they're not making enough money? So if suddenly all the people are like, pulling their money out of the game, like doesn't that accelerate its death?
I guess it was inevitable. So
Yeah, and then they announced the full refunds, and I was like, how does that work? Like. You would think that, it's never come out of beta. Like, the game is still in beta. And so, all of that money,
That's a good point,
presumably...
it isn't like that weird gray area where it's in early access
Yeah.
and it's not actual full release.
Yeah. So it's like, presumably, they took that money that they got during the
So where
beta
does that
and
money go?
they put it into making the game, right?
in theory,
So
yes.
they've already spent the money, presumably. So it's like, when they're offering refunds, like, accounting-wise, like, where does that money come from? Is it just, maybe the money they collected so far for early access, basically, is just, like, they keep it in an account. I was like, this
Just in case
this
the
amount's
rainy
like we're
day fund.
not allowed to use until we actually release the game. Which is like, I think that's how pre-orders at GameStop work. Like, they have to be able to refund you at any time if you cancel your pre-order. So they have to have a certain amount of money that they can use for that kind of refund. But then for this, it's like, oh, I don't think game developers usually, sit on the money that they got and say, we might cancel this game, so we shouldn't use it in case we have to give refunds to everyone. The other possibility, I guess, is that Fortnite is doing so well that they just have money to spare, and they can just be like, this is the right thing to do. We will totally give back everybody's money, and that everyone's happy. I am happy. Like, now I don't have to worry about, am I like adding fuel to the fire? I am not adding fuel to the fire because they offered.
They already just put the fire out.
Yep.
I'm just like, well, we're done, guys. We're done.
So I don't have to, yeah. I'm not sure when I will return to Paragon, if it happens. It will probably happen, probably at the end. There are quite a few months left, but yeah, how the game is today is how it will be. Anyway, yes, that's what I've been playing. How long have we been talking about Monster Hunter?
A while.
Almost an hour, probably.
But I mean, in all fairness, it's been a while since Monster Hunter was here and good, so,
on a
I
Nintendo
think
handheld.
even I have played over 100 hours of Monster Hunter.
That's unheard of for him. That's unheard of.
No, most of my games are like I'm quickly approaching the amount of time I've spent in Destiny 2 in Monster Hunter. And I think I have 3 of the weapons that I'm trying to get. So I still have lots of materials to get for a complete set of 18 different bows. And also then gun lances, which is another 18, of which I have 1. So it's gonna be there's just so much to go for, and none of it seems like a lot of times I would listen to Tekken's Destiny play and be like, I don't care about any of those things that you're trying to get. But Monster Hunter is like, you know what? Having an element version of every weapon, or every element for just one weapon is useful. It does make it go a lot faster.
Like Pokemon with weaponry. It's like, I need a water type or this fire type.
It's true. Gotta catch 'em all.
And then I can make a loadout and be like, haha.
And then even from a pure skill standpoint, that was one of the problems with the Infinite Forest. In theory, even if in theory it was exactly what we thought it was going to be, this infinite procedurally generated forest, it would still have been boring because you're still, at least to me, it seems like it would have still been boring because you're still fighting the same, dozen or so enemy types, and they're just not interesting to shoot anymore.
Actually, it's interesting because I think when Shadows of the Colossus was about to come out, the remaster, so close to when Monster Hunter came out, I was like, why do I keep not getting tired of fighting the monster over and over? And it's like they're all a bunch of boss fights, but they're dynamic because you have the turf war mechanic too, where it's if you have 2 or 3 of them, stuff is just happening and you're just there. Basil Goose is on the map, you're just he's gonna show up because that's what he does, and be like, hey guys, what's up?
Oh god, he is the most annoying thing.
So, I saw you fighting, didn't know he needed my help. I'm gonna be right here helping. Might get in the way a bit, but we're maybe on the same team. Yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm doing what I want because that's what I do. And then like
true. It's like
Audagaron is just like the honey badger because he's like, I'm gonna bully everybody. I don't give a f, and just like
true. He
attacks
turf wars
everything.
with like basically every monster. It's like ridiculous. Like we saw him. Like I saw the one with Al Hazak for the first time when he like jumps on his back and starts attacking him.
That's
And I was-
insane.
That's awesome.
So I was just like, holy crap, he's just a very angry dog. Because at first I didn't even know he could turf war with the elder dragon. Anyway, so it's like we were doing the one where it's like the two tempered ones or whatever. So then all of a sudden, like we were fighting the dog, and then the Hazak just happens to be lumbering around the corner because why not? So we're like, crap, we have to fight both of them. But then all of a sudden the prompt came up and it was like turf war. And it's like, what? So then he like runs around, he like starts jumping around and he jumps on his back, and then Valhazak is like trying to absorb all the poison and like attack him and everything, and then he just attack. It's just like, oh my gosh. So it's like it's so cool that they can like fight each other sometimes when it's like they don't like each other. It's like this is cool. But the dog apparently hates everybody, so it's fine. He's very territorial.
The turf war thing is so cool to watch,
is.
like especially when it shows up, because
First time I
then
saw it,
they
I was
have
like,
like
wow.
special animations,
Yep.
and it's like, oh, that's awesome. And sometimes like some of the monsters look like they get wrecked. It's just like that's so cool.
Like the
I
dog
love
actually
the,
like
yeah,
ragdolls the bat.
One.
Yeah, it's like
oh,
hilarious. He beat the crap out of that thing. I was like, holy crap! Like, that poor bat. Like, so it is great when you, and then like some of them do suffer like a lot of damage because even like when the two Diabloses fight each other, it's like one of them will take like at least 1,100 damage or something, depending on which kind of match it is. It's like holy crap. So it is nice when they do turf war because it does some hefty damage. So.
And then they're like the sweet stage transitions, like the waterfall in the Rathlessness. The first time I saw that, I was like, what? I didn't know that was a thing. I was like, Game of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that was awesome. Just like the wall just breaks. And I'm like, what's that noise? Is that water?
I know.
And
It's
then,
like,
and then she's like,
all of a
whoosh,
sudden.
Oh, that's awesome.
and down they go.
Or like the environmental traps too, because like
Yep.
sometimes they can fall in the quicksand or the vine traps and stuff like that too. So it's like it's cool. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what kind of like if they add more areas to the DLC or if it's just going to be more of the monsters. Because I know Devil Joy is supposed to be coming first, so that'll be soon, and then I guess we'll kind of go from there. But it's going to be fun. So.
What were you talking about, Tropical, when you said something? Oh yeah, how it gets old. That's what it was.
Yeah, like it's not getting old. It may get old. It's hard to say. But yeah, like right now, it's just you got stuff to, and it doesn't really even feel like a grind, just because what you're doing. Grinding tends to be sort of a mindless activity. But then when you're trying to get parts from these things, it's not. I wouldn't necessarily call it a grind because like you're so active while you're doing it. It's not.
It's true. You can't just like point
like
and click and then it's
it's not like grinding in, like an RPG where it's like you just hit, or in modern Final Fantasies you just hit auto attack and it does everything, and you don't even have to worry about healing because they can't possibly kill you because you're just grinding now. You're just, you're trying to get money or whatever.
It's also really good in the regard that like in every environment there's just material always around you. Like even in an expedition or like questing, you can always just like get mushrooms on the side, get herbs on the side, or do it like whatever.
It's the red dead flowers.
Yeah. It's all around you all the
and
time.
you can craft stuff you need too. So it's like you can make more potions and things like that on the fly.
Yep.
So, or if we have a certain skill, you could just use them as, because I think there's a mushroom skill that when it turns,
Oh,
it
yeah,
basically
you can
makes
just
one of the
eat the
mushrooms.
mushrooms,
It just eats the mushroom. So
Mushroom Meister.
yeah, that's another thing too. Like I said, the skills, like there's so many different skills and combinations you can use based on how you play. So it's like, it's because I can guarantee you, Dagger's bow set is a lot different from Tropical's bow set. So it's like, so.
I haven't figured out what I want to do with that. Like, so my current one is really just, I will just shoot a ton of arrows, and I don't care too much that they're not super powerful.
Because I think she has her set up that it has Mushroom Meister on it, because she uses one that like gives her basically like infinite stamina, so she can basically just shoot ad nauseum, And it's like she showed me the build, but I forgot what else is on it. But yeah,
See, that's what I want. I haven't figured out that is a possibility. Like that actually sounds like a good one for what I'd like to do.
So yes, it's definitely a fun time. I am quite pleased with how it turned out. Because I had my doubts at first when it first announced. I was like, but will it be good? Because I played Try, and it's like I was just like, I guess. I played for Ultimate, which I liked, but the thing is, though, it's like you didn't like the whole online thing was a bit more difficult and everything. And then I think the other one didn't have any online at all, unless it was in Japan or something, or on the Switch console or something. I forgot what it was, but then so I was happy.
I think that's the other thing for me. It was like a return to or not a return, but it was just like a bookend of an era that never existed, because it was like, I always say on the podcast, it's like, Left 4 Dead and Borderlands. I was like, man, we're gonna get all these awesome 4-player co-op games, and it never materialized, ever. And then Monster Hunter came along. I was like, you know what, Tekken, you never needed them anyway. We're still here for you. It's like, yeah, you are, Monster Hunter. Thanks.
It's like I'll never abandon you.
I loaded up my PS2 save to like make some weird videos before it came out. It'd be like, I'm getting ready, guys. I'm gonna make a barbecue thingy steak. And I was like, I played over 100 hours in this game. I do not remember that, but apparently the grind.
It's true, because I saw my playtime and I was like, really? It's like,
Must have really been into it, and now it's all new again. It's great. I love it. Oh, that was the other thing I said. It was about when we like get super toxic on that other game, and you're just like, oh, I hate that game. Oh, it's the worst. It's like I've yet to hear anybody say that about this game, and whenever I'm played it alone, I'm always like, I love this game. I love Monster Hunter. I'm at work and all I think about at work, and I'm like, I can't wait to go home and play Monster Hunter. It's the best. Can't wait. It's the best. Oh yeah, gets me through the day.
Because I'll be at work and be like, which one should I farm? Because I need certain pieces for something. It's like, I need this gem for this guy, or so it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and then like the weekly limited bounties, you get like a gold vivarium print. So I've been like, man,
oh yeah,
I got any gems in between the weeklies. I'll just use that for that.
That is actually a useful thing too. So it's like, even if you happen to not be getting something from the RNG thing, you can just make it, because
you can get one.
Just make it yourself. So there's that as well.
So I guess we can move on from Monster Hunter. You said you played some other stuff, right? RPG?
I mean, I guess it's not Monster Hunter.
You're all gonna be boring now.
Nowhere to go but down.
Like we are. I mean, it's like we're playing it as we speak. We're playing as we speak. But
oh, that's the other fun thing is like when you're playing with somebody when you're in party chat and like all you hear is like the mashing of the buttons.
I know, right?
Like the Monster Hunter sounds. That's what we call them.
He's Shirukiing me right now. You see me trying to gather bones, Tropical. I will fight you. I will fight you.
Didn't you already get him?
I did.
Stand up.
Still. It's the principle of it. It's the principle. Get back here.
So I was thinking actually to have some video on our podcast next time. Maybe we could like sit at the bar in the Gathering Hub, and then we can like do emotes and stuff while we're talking.
Throwing up stickers and random stuff. This works.
Drinking, falling asleep on the table, all fun stuff.
It's like, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. So yeah, we could do that. So let's see. The other stuff I've been playing. So I finished Horizon Zero Dawn finally. So yay! Woo! I finished stabbing all the robot dinosaurs in the butt. So that was fun. But it was kind of cool for the whole reveal and everything, because I was like fairly early in the game. I think when I had stopped playing it and we were talking about it on the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, I'll finish it eventually, guys. So then over the winter break, I was like, you know what? I think I am going to actually finish this. So I started playing it and going through the story stuff, and then stuff was happening, and I was like, oh my gosh, we did warn ourselves, we did, and no one listened. So it all kind of went to crap, and then, yeah, then all the other stuff happened, and then this guy did stuff, and then this person did stuff, and then they tried to do this stuff to solve this stuff, and then this happened, and it was just like, oh my gosh. So it was great. It was great. There was so much stuff going on. I don't want to spoil it just in case. I don't know who else. I don't know if there are people out there who haven't finished it and I was just like behind or anything. But it's like there's so much stuff that was going down, and then like when you find out the reasoning for the whole robot dinosaurs, I was like, oh, that's so cool. But then I was like, but it didn't work out like that at all. It didn't work out like that at all. So that was fun. I mean, not for them, but yeah. So it was pretty cool for all of that stuff to happen. But I really enjoyed it, so it was fun. And then at the end, although I am kind of disappointed in the final boss fight though, because I mean I kind of felt like I don't know, maybe it's because I was expecting something more because of the because I'm like, man, we've seen things, guys. We've seen things, but then it's like with who you have to, or the AI guy that you have to deal with, where I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. But then it was just like another one of those things. I was like, oh, I mean, it's like I've killed many of these at this point. I mean, this isn't much. It's just like now there's a time limit on it, and it has higher health. But I was like, I mean, I guess. But at least though, I think one of the cool things though, at least with that fight, is like it was like your friends from the other missions could join you and stuff. So it's just like, oh, this is cool. Although while they were just waiting at the end of the mountain for me to show up, I was like, so you guys are just gonna wait here if I never decided to fight this guy? Like, what was like the plan here? Just gonna be like, well,
we brought sandwiches.
It's like, basically, I'm just like, so we're not even gonna bother trying to save the world? Like, what if I would have died before I got here? Were you guys just not gonna plan on saving the world? Like, what are we doing? So, but yeah, it was cool that they could like join.
You saw the sandwiches.
You saw the sandwiches. Like, well, yeah. So that was kind of cool. And then yeah, but I enjoyed it. It was definitely all that the hype had made it out to be. And it's like I said, even though I'm not like a huge fan of open world games, which I've mentioned many a times on podcasts, because how easily distracted I get sometimes when I have to start doing stuff, and I'm just like, well, I should be saving the world, but I also need this cool mushroom for my jacket, so I'm going to go do that. But it was still fun. So there's still stuff to do, and still like it still kind of makes sense within the universe that you were playing, which kind of made it cool too. So it's like this is nice. This is nice. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that aspect of it, and then feeling like super powerful when you take down some of these giant robot dinosaurs towards the end of the game, where it's just like when you first start out, it's kind of just like, oh my gosh, one of these things is going to murder me. But towards the end of the game, it's like, I control you all. So because I ended up going through all of the cauldrons, so I could basically override anything. And I mean, I didn't need to, but I mean, I could. But I think like Tropical said, for some of them, it was kind of pointless for some of them, because it's like, well,
they don't follow you.
I would say they don't really follow you or anything. So it's like, well,
yes, survey my lands for me forever.
Yeah, because like the Stormbirds and the what's the T-Rex one looking one called, that one? It's like that one, because like they're usually by themselves, so it's not like that useful to do it unless it's like
killed everyone.
Exactly. I guess at least I don't have to worry about fighting you myself, I guess, which I did do for there was like the one quest where I think the Thunderbird was like guarding the entrance to one of the things or whatever. But I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to override you real quick. And then it was like, well, that's over. So I just walked in and just kind of did the thing, or did the quest after that, because I was like, well, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be built up to be like this epic battle between me and the Stormbird, but I control all of the robot dinosaurs now, so, I mean, thanks, I guess? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, the only ones you can't control are, like, the actual robot ones. So, there's that.
The ones that are full robots. Not dinosaurs at all.
They're not dinosaurs at all. Full robots. So, yes. So there was that. So I enjoyed it. It was a fun ride, and I think if you haven't played it, you should because you would enjoy it. Unless you don't like action adventure games, then maybe you wouldn't. So I mean, but you might find something you like in there. You never know. I also got like that super armor that I never used either. So I think it like projects a force field or something. So all I did was just put it on just to see what it looks like, but then I never actually used it because I mean, at that point there was only like 2 quests left in the game, so it's like, well, I mean, it's kind of pointless. But you live and you learn. At least it's a nice bragging rights reward, I guess. So there's that. But that's pretty much it on that. And then the other game, I picked up Radiant Historia on I think it came out like last week or whatever. So that is what I have been playing recently. I did play the original one, but it was a long time ago, so I don't really remember much about it except that I liked it. So I mean that's good at least. So there's.
Did you
RPG.
cut out?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I was like, did I cut out? Like, should I say something? Oh no, we lost RPG.
Oh no. In the middle of his spiel about Radiant Historia and how he liked playing.
Oh, we lost him forever. Or exaggerated. But we lost him entirely, yes. Well, that was the other thing he said he played, right? Was there anything else?
I don't think so.
It was just those two. Shall we talk about $60 games and then come back later?
Sure.
Should do that.
One more thing about Monster Hunter is that like your palicos have like their own gadgets, and then sometimes when they're fighting, they just get like into super adorable mode. Like if you're fighting a water monster, they have their little rafts. And then sometimes they'll be pushing around these like buggies with explosives in them, which is like extremely dangerous, but also charming and just like, oh, it's so good, it's so good.
So many things to like about this game.
There is. It's ridiculous. It's full of awesomeness and fun times.
I wonder if RPG is aware that he is not there. Anyways. Yeah, Tekken. What's your topic?
Okay, so games are $60 at launch. But then, if you wait, not even a month, sometimes, not even 6 months, half a year, you can get them for much cheaper. So it's like, what is even the point or incentive driving you to buy a game day one when you don't have to buy it to get it? I mean, or you can like wait to get like even cheaper later on, and not and like the game, like in the case of now, it's like games with season passes, they have DLC, and then later on it's like the Game of the Year edition, blah blah, expansion, blah blah. So you just wait, and then get all that crap way later, way cheaper, and we've got reviews too. So it's like usually it's probably in your benefit, I would say, for the user to just wait, because probably worth it just to wait and get it for cheap. Or the most, I don't know. It just seems like games nowadays are just like not. I don't know. It's after the whole like shenanigans with Battlefront and effing microtransactions. It's like it kind of feels like they're starting to just want to turn us all into ching machines. It's like, oh, you just want my money. Well, I don't know how I feel about that. I can just not buy your game, see how it's reacted to by the gaming enthusiast people and community, if it's liked or not, and go from there. And even by the time I wait, it might be like on sale for like a week one sale or something weird. But like, yeah, that's like, why get it? Why even get it $60 at launch? Or what is your limit or red line on like when you'll get a game at launch? Well, you're not getting it at launch. Will you get it day one, not day one? What's your reasoning and all that fun stuff? And that is the question of the week. Primer.
So I kind of feel like It's because of sort of this games as a service thing. That's why games become so cheap so quickly. Like, businesses are risk averse, so they don't want to do things differently than how they've done them. And so, in the PS3 era, there was sort of this weird thing where everyone's like, okay, every game needs to have multiplayer, which, of course, right, is going to be better if actual people are playing the multiplayer. Like, there need to be players for other players to have players to play with. And so, mandated multiplayer was sort of every game's thing. But then, how do you make sure that there's going to be players? Like, well, you can make the game cheaper, and then people would, more likely give it a chance than if it's a $60 game. And then you'll have people to play on your multiplayer servers, and that just makes it a better multiplayer game for everyone. But no one wanted to do the cheaper game. Everyone is afraid that's like, oh, if we make it cheaper, we won't make as much money, and then it was just sort of like, so basically, like, everything is against you. You're making your game as expensive as it can be, and it has to have multiplayer, but since it's so expensive, no one's going to buy it, and there's not going to be any player base, and then the multiplayer is just going to suffer. And I think this generation is, it like takes them a long time to take these kind of risks. And then I think this generation, they're starting to think, you know what? That kind of makes sense. Like, if we can't raise prices, then we need to sell more volume. And how do we do that quickly is by lowering the prices. Which, like, you're saying 6 months, it's going to be cheaper. It's like, not even.
No, I'm
like,
just saying, even less than
only
even
Nintendo
less than
games,
months.
I think.
I mean, Nintendo is probably like the only publisher that's like not dropping prices like a rock.
Yeah.
On their games, because their games are like evergreen, forever, full price.
Yeah.
And then, like, even then, it's like years later. It's like we have the Nintendo Select Collection. It's like, dude, these games are years old. Why are they only now just like half price? Damn you, Nintendo!
Well, I think in part, like, I've read articles where retailers really like small video game retailers really like Nintendo because, and I don't know 100% how this works, but basically, like, small retailers got to buy a certain number at a certain price from distributors, and if those prices, like, if the publishers drop those prices below what the small retailers pay for them, then they lose that money and it sucks. But with Nintendo, since Nintendo really has been the one this whole time that was all about, we're gonna keep our premium pricing as much as we can, and they resisted doing like mobile stuff the longest because they're like, we don't want to be in mobile. Mobile is the place where you gotta everyone expects your games to be free, and that would just be terrible for Nintendo because we make games and we're not into like deficit selling consoles and stuff like that, so everything's got to make money. So we can't make free games. But yeah, like, other companies I think are moving, especially like Ubisoft, I think is a prime example. They're becoming sort of like the platform holders, except instead of hardware platforms, software is their platform. So something like The Division is still getting new stuff. That's, I don't know how old. The Siege is getting new stuff. For Honor has seasons and it gets new stuff. And so how do you, like, it sort of changes it. Like, before it really was, you needed to sell as many games as possible in the launch month, because after that nobody cares about your game anymore because it's like old news. But when they keep adding things, like, well, now it's like always new news, and so we don't have to sort of concentrate and get all of our sales as quickly as possible. I mean, we want to, but we don't have to, because we can continue to sell it or later down the line. I don't know if that's cool or not. I mean, I guess it's cool. I think it does mean, we get to keep the $60 price point, which is not cheap, but it could be worse.
I don't know, Tropical. I feel like it's like the way it is now. Things are like dragged out to where it's like it's like games last longer and you can play them for longer, but it's like the money involved that they extract from you in that time. Like if you like Destiny, all of Destiny 1, like all of that, it's like how many years and how much like was it to get all the like DLCs and expansions, and like was it actually a bargain for the consumer, was it, or the user, or was it a like profit deal for the publisher? But then I haven't actually done the money or like the numbers, so it's like or maybe just like maybe just even it's like wasn't really that bad.
I think it was like $100 a year, right?
Was it?
Or the first one was definitely 100, and then the second year was, I think it was like a third $40 expansion, was it?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up.
Well, I mean, if you look at like Call of Duty games, yes, there's like a new entry every year, and they come out at $60 basically, but there's always like the expansion pass. So the full Call of Duty is $100 every year, maybe even more. And it's like that's kind of what people were doing before with like Madden releases. That was every year, and it was like $60 every year for kind of the same game. Call of Duty, sort of the same thing, except now it's $100 every year. $110, I think, every year.
Yeah, but like doesn't that go down like after a couple months?
Well,
All right.
and this is a different thing now because Call of Duty, has lost some popularity, and that's why I think they do drop quicker. I think back when it was like Black Ops, or no, pre-Black Ops.
It seems like on PS3 360, those did stay full price.
Yeah, they stayed
GTA.
full price for a while. But then like after, I think it was after Black Ops, when it sort of became like people started ragging on Call of Duty a bit, is when they would launch, and then like a month later during Black Friday time, it would be way cheaper. Or not necessarily way cheaper, but some cheaper. RPG returned.
I wasn't paying attention, and my computer decided to update itself. So, yeah.
You're like, does RPG know he's gone? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I knew I was gone because it'll tell you that the call is dropped.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh no. So yes, that happened. Super fun times.
Did you have more? We can go back to what you were talking about.
Oh, did you guys move to the next segment?
Yeah, because we're like, we don't know how long this is going to take. We showered a little more praise on Monster Hunter, and then I was like, I guess, yeah, let's do the next thing.
Interesting.
Palicos! Ooh, I want to wear a Palico head. I forgot about that dream.
That is it. You can make that a reality if you'd like. Because there is a Palico head for the armor in the game.
I want, like, the Palico to dress as one of those little screechy guys, and then I will dress as the Palico.
You can do that as well.
Little screechy guys? What?
Little cha-chas. The ones that have the little headdresses that, like...
okay, the native ones.
Those. Yes, you can do... There's an event quest that lets you... Or an in-game event quest, I should say, that you can do, then it'll get you can get their armor. For your cat. Jeez. But yes, I was so yes, as I was saying before my computer decided to explode. So
I liked reading Historia, and end of sentence, RPG was never seen again.
Basically. Although at least it ended when I finished the sentence, though. So I was just like, It's like, and that is all, guys. That is all. But but yeah, the for those who aren't familiar with it, it's basically the game. It does have a time travel mechanic, but it's about this guy who's like a secret agent or a special agent or whatever, and then he comes into possession of a book that gives him the ability to travel back in time and fix his mistakes. But there are rules to it. Obviously, he can't just like do it all willy-nilly, and he has to have been present for what he's going to go try to change. So there's also that. But then early in the story, you find out there's somebody who has a power that's similar, but they do it to corrupt history instead. So it becomes a literal race against time in order to see who can save history or alter history and save the world in the process. And then all kinds of other shenanigans go on, and everybody's happy. People die. People get resurrected because, time and all that fun stuff. So it's fun. But apparently with this new one, they added like other story scenarios, which you can play. You can actually play the original version if you want, or you could just play it as they call it the perfect chrono. I think the name is like the perfect something for if you wanted to just already have it integrated into the story, so you just pretty much just play it with the new content as well if you want to, which I just did because I was just like, well, I don't remember much anyway, so I might as well just go ahead and just do it all together. So. But yeah, it's like I like the battle system because it's set up for like on a semi-grid kind of thing, and you can like push and pull the enemies on the different parts of the grid to kind of like create combos and boost your experience and stuff like that. And there's like different skills and everything that allow you to do that, and everybody uses different weapons and all this fun stuff. So yeah, pretty cool so far. I mean, I haven't gotten far because I just started playing it recently, but yeah, I'm enjoying it again because, like I said, I like the original, so at least that's the feeling I got when I saw it again. I was like, oh, the feelings are rushing back. So yeah, if I can go back in time, like in the game, haha, then I would probably be able to understand why I liked it. But it's fine. I mean, like I said, I'm playing it now, so I'm enjoying it, so it's fun. So all that fun stuff. But then that's pretty much it. So yes, we can go to the next segment now.
We were talking about the phenomenon of games dropping prices very quickly these days, and sort of like, what is the point of even buying stuff at launch? And I was talking about why I think that is happening. Basically, games are now platforms, and so they sell the game. They try to sell as many games as they can, so that they can sell you other stuff from within the games.
Microtransactions.
You remember when microtransactions you would hear and be like, oh, it's like nickel and diming. And it's like, when was it ever nickel and diming? The first microtransaction was $2 or something, right?
He's right.
It's a lot of dimes and a lot of nickels.
Like horse armor is the first thing everyone thinks of. That was not a nickel or a dime.
That was a full monetary transaction of taking bills from your billfold. All two of them. Or
the first instant of being bent over for nonsense.
How the world may have been different if they had done it differently.
It's all because of the horse armor. All because of the horse armor.
Oh, speaking of, we haven't podcasted since they did that whole games on demand or whatever for Microsoft, have we? Since they're like whole Netflix of games that they're doing for first-party stuff, eventually when they get more first-party stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, like, they had Game Pass already. It just wasn't, now it's stuff that is like new games. New games are going to be on there. At least from first party. I don't remember we talked about that.
I think we did, because that was like kind of a big thing, but... Or like, I don't know, it seems like it's a big, like, long play, but it's going to build up to it.
Oh, that's right. We talked about it in Monster Hunter at one point. Not on the podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, I do remember talking. It's like, oh, I was gamer. Oh, yeah, we're in Monster Hunter. Yeah. Well, personally, I think it's because the install base of the Xbox One is kind of small, and these are not their blockbuster franchises, I guess. These are their like B tier franchises. Not necessarily in game quality, just like the way that the company treats them.
You guys are fighting Nargigante without me, you jerks.
So
I need his horns. I need his horns. Continue.
um so yeah, personally I think it's because their install base is smaller and they're afraid that these games aren't going to sell. And you know, they need somebody to play them, otherwise it's like, especially Sea of Thieves, a multiplayer game, like if no one takes the chance, then they're kind of screwed. And you know, Game Pass I think is going to let more people take the chance. But yeah, I don't know, RPG, what is your normal pattern these days, now that basically if you wait a few months, the game will definitely be cheaper in almost every situation?
I mean, my thing is like there's games like I honestly don't care what I have to pay for it. I'll pay for it because you know reasons. But I mean,
We all got
so
Monster Hunter on launch day, right?
I did
Yeah.
I pre-ordered that months ago.
because I pre-ordered it. You know, so I mean, there's games like if I'm excited about a
Did you
game.
pre-order yet? Pre-order, I'm like, dude, I'm sitting in my pre-order queue on my PSN with a timer. That means I did it before. Yes, it's counting down, not up. Go away.
It could be. It could be counting up. If it gets delayed.
I don't think I pre-ordered. I think I got it on the day. I was like, I want to see Dagger in the game that she's always talking about. And turns out, yeah, she is really good at this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, if I'm like really excited about a game, my thing is like I'm gonna get it regardless because it's like it's something I was excited about. So why would I care about how much I have to pay for it? If it's a game where I'm kind of just like, it's like I'm interested, but it's like it's one of those situations where it's like if I'm gonna hesitate because if I'm only interested, I'm just like I'll just wait until it goes down in price because there's no point in me getting it day one if I'm not gonna play it because then it's just like, well, I mean, what's the point? Because it's just going to sit there, and then I could just wait. Like you said, it's like within months now, it's kind of like you'll see sales on things, and they'll just be like down to like 30 or something. In certain franchises, it's even faster than others. So it's like, why waste my money if I'm not like super excited about it? So yeah, there are games I buy at full price, mostly because I semi want to support the series to, you know. Because like in my mind, my money is all that counts. So if I buy it,
if I don't buy it, that franchise is gonna die.
Basically. So it's like if I buy it at launch at full price, it's like then they're gonna be like, you know what? We're making sequels. This is happening. But it's like if I don't, then it's like, well, it's gonna die. You're never gonna see it again. It's gonna be all your fault because you could have avoided all this because you could have just bought it like you're supposed to. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm like, okay, I have to support them. I have to buy it at full price. I have to do it because I'm all that matters. I'm all that matters. They only care about my money. So I have to. But for other stuff, we're just like, I mean, it's like if I'm interested, but I'm not like fully committed, I'm just like, okay, I'll just let it. I mean, sometimes I might just go ahead and pick it up, but it's rare. More often than not, I'll actually just go ahead and just wait, and then once I see it, because I mean, I have gotten into the mindset where I'm like, no, this is going to go down in price like soon, so why do I have to get it at day one if I'm not going to even play it immediately anyway? So it's one of those scenarios. So unless it's like some kind of like special launch edition, which they seem to be doing now, which might be intentionally to combat that whole thing that the that games are going down in price so quickly. Maybe then I'll probably like pick it up. But generally speaking, if I'm not like super excited about it, then I'll probably just wait until it like drops down in price. And now that some of these people are doing like this whole the Xbox one is the one you were talking about, right? The one that they're like Game putting the new games on there like when they're getting released. It's like with them doing stuff like that, it's kind of just like it makes you. I feel like it's going to make people even less likely to buy games immediately because it's like if you have this thing, it's like, well, you pretty much just get it. If you don't like it, it's like, well, I don't have to keep it. So there's there's that, and you could just kind of like it's kind of like Blockbuster, except they don't exist anymore. So there's that. Which, game rental things you would think would be more popular because of stuff like that, but I don't feel like it is. I don't feel like it is. Because I don't hear a lot of people talking about GameFly, and I don't know anybody that uses Redbox, so so yeah, it's kind of interesting that it's not like more popular considering how expensive gaming is as a hobby, and you don't have infinite time, especially people who have children like Tropical. So it's like
I think that's why like people like me don't rent though, because rent you sort of have to devote
to play it
an actual amount of time to be able to play it. Otherwise, it's just like, well, I rented it, so I have it, yay, and I didn't spend $60, but am I going to get to play it? Hard to say. Maybe I get to play it a little bit, and then it, like, even though I do that with games that I bought as well. So it's just like, but even though it's like cheaper with Redbox or like GameFly, I guess like psychologically it's like, well, yeah, but then once I return it, then I have nothing. Whereas a game that I bought that I didn't play,
you have it.
Could play it whenever I want, if it ever comes to that. Yeah, in theory. So it's like, at least I have this shiny box with a shiny disc inside. Whereas with Redbox, it's like, well, now I have nothing, and I didn't get to play it.
It's like nothing matters.
I just threw money into a well. But yeah, like Game Pass, I think is sort of different because it's you have more flexibility, I think, than with like regular rental services, because you can just like you have the game for that much longer, potentially infinite amount of time if you decide to put infinite amounts of money into that subscription.
I just want to say, if you keep the service, then yes.
It's weird, like games these days, like on the one hand, yes, are more expensive, but on the other hand, also it's like way cheaper right now to buy games or to have games to play. If you don't care what you're playing, you can like
there's a steady supply.
Well, like PlayStation Plus, right?
Yeah.
$60 is a ton of games in a year, but you don't get to choose like what they are.
Oh, that's a good point. There's a lot of free options, or not free, but like just
like very inexpensive ways
Yeah.
to have games to play.
low price, low budget solutions. Yeah, for me, it's like, if a game has a season pass, I'm definitely going to wait, because it's like, that's a trap. If it's got some stupid Ubisoft Ultra Edition, Collector's Edition, blah blah blah, like 5 different tiers of the same effing game, that's why I'm not getting Far Cry 5, go F yourself. That's definitely what I'm going to wait on. Effing Shadow of War, like, oh yeah, we've got, the Deluxe Edition, the whatever edition, blah 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 edition, and season pass and DLCs and all this other stuff. Like even before the games ship, it's like what? Excuse me?
Yeah.
Are you just trying to like? I'm not an ATM, buddy. You're not trying to like put your card in me and take stuff out. Okay, that's not how that works.
Oh my.
So yeah, it's like F that crap. I'll just like wait until however many months or whatever. It's like it's going to be $20 eventually. So it's like F you and your evil business practices. I'll just get it later for super cheap. And then, like RG was saying, like if there's any game, like if there's a game I'm like super juiced about, or just like cannot wait, and just like I gotta have it. It's like I'm just always gonna be there day one, just to like, because it's like the anticipation and the hype is like it manifests, and it's like yeah, and you're just like gotta have it, and just that's what it's all about. Because that's not what it's all about. But man, those are like the best when it's just like the game you've been waiting for it a long time. It finally gets here. It comes out like basically the first quarter of last year was like Red Wars 2, awesome. Horizon, awesome. Nier, awesome. It was a good effing first quarter last year. And then Monster Hunter, man, it was also just like that. It's just like, man, I've been waiting. It'd be even better because I did not play any of those games for 200 hours. So this has been a nice. That other game I don't talk about anymore, Detox, and I never need to go back. And yeah, like that. Unlike the man, they just made this like that last game. They completely effed up. Thanks, Bongo. Thanks a lot.
That's true, because it's like they had the potential to actually do something pretty great with it, and then it's like, from what I've heard, it's basically just more of the same, or what the first one should have been, kind of thing. So, I don't know, man's.
But whenever, as soon as I see that season pass or like whatever evil garbage scheme they're going to like trying to extract more money from me because they're evil, it's like, no, I'm not going to buy your game day one. I might not even buy it later on. It's like I might just wait until it's dirt cheap on a flash sale, like Burnout Paradise, because I'd rather have Burnout 3. Go F yourself, EA. Yeah, you know you did.
I think Paradise was probably like one of the more critically acclaimed or popular ones. So that's probably why they
just
did
like
the remaster.
easier to get onto a PS4.
Also,
Takedown or
that.
GTFO. Takedown or GTFO.
Oh, what was?
And I
was
mean,
it Crash Mode? Like that was amazing in Takedown.
It's yeah. I mean that. I mean it's whatever. 3 to me was just like it's a complete package and just like so good, and just like so good.
I think I only liked Paradise because of the Gap Nights. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
that
that's
might
true.
be.
Like if a bunch of Gap people get it, I might just have to get it just because.
Yeah. Because I think that might be the only reason why. But I mean, and that's the thing too, or what Tech was saying with the whole season pass thing. I think that's also like a semi-deterrent for me buying a game at full price too. Because then I'm like, well, I should just wait until it comes cheaper, so then that way I can just get the season pass with everything, and at the same price eventually. So it's kind of one of those things that's like, unless it's like season pass DLC where it's like not essential kind of thing, where just like, oh, it's just costumes or something that won't change anything, but it was like actually like full on DLC where it's like, well, you're missing out on everything, and it's like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, where it's like after having buyer's remorse for Street Fighter 5, as far as effing, man, they really effed that game. It's like, oh, here's the base game, and it's like character pass. It's like, what's this? And then it's like, oh, another season of it. It's like, wait, so you're not gonna just, let me have the stuff from last year? Nope, gotta buy it. Sorry. And there's stuff this year. I gotta buy it. And it's like just years and years of DLC, and it's like, oh, this is how it's gonna be.
Street Fighter is definitely a platform. Like, yeah, they're gonna do as many seasons as they can.
I think the nut is still being cracked on games as a service. So I think the jury's still out as far as like how to do it right and how to do it wrong. So I think Street Fighter 5 is definitely a failed model, because that was just, I am not even going to go back and play that game, because like I was so excited for like Arcade Edition and like all the costumes and crap, but then like all the loops, the holes you have to jump through and all the fight money, like it's not still the way it should be. And I'm just
Yes,
like,
the infamous fight money.
I am just done. I am just effing done, and you ruined this. I mean, you ruined this game. I'm still gonna effing get like Anniversary Collection, because Third Strike and Alpha and an OG effing Championship Edition. But you just like left
He's
this
not
game
gonna
to
like
die.
it.
It is just bleeding out in the gutter. Thanks a lot, Capcom. You know you did.
Oh my! Somebody get it a Band-Aid.
It's gonna need more than that.
See, I actually think Street Fighter 5 is good now, in a way that could not be said when it came out. And it like playing Arcade Edition makes me think about like that thing we always talk about, where it's like, oh, the game is. We're gonna start counting release as whenever it is that the game is like, finished. And so 2 years later, since Street Fighter 5 went into early access, it's released.
That's where we're at now. The base game is just early access,
Which is really crazy. It's just like, what?
which is why you shouldn't pay $60.
Would we rather it be that way, where like Street Fighter 5 was announced 4 years ago, and then now in 2018 it finally releases? Or was it cool? Because like part of it is you got to play the game. They're not charging you for the final version, although they are charging you for more characters. But you got to play Street Fighter 5 starting in 2016, and you didn't have to buy story mode, which like the content stuff is really, I think, what makes it feel like a complete game now. Like when it first came out, it really was for those people. I like to imagine it's for people, you have buddies that live near you, and everyone gathers on a Friday night and you just play Street Fighter. Like that was the best, I think, use of Street Fighter V when it first came out. If you're a single player person, there was not like the story modes. A lot of them are like 2 fights. They're just like it was super short. And then even when they released cinematic story mode, it was like not as awesome as Mortal Kombat or Injustice.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned Street Fighter Tropical because that's kind of what it's like. It's seeped into like different genres. This stupid season pass thing. Like that's why I didn't buy Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Is because there was like a whatever edition of the game, and there's like a character pass in that game too. And it's like what the f? Like I don't get all the effing like no like that is like a red effing line for Tekken. It's like a fighting game without all the effing characters. Go f yourself. Okay, it's like that is not a game that I'm gonna effing pick up and play. It's like we got a. Broly and Bardock coming later, dude. It's like, no, they're not there now. I can wait, and you're not gonna get my money until later, so go for yourself. It's not happening. It's like, this has gone on long enough, and you've corrupted too many genres. Thanks a lot, whoever started this garbage. I would like to go back in time and punch you in the face, like Radiant Storia.
Oh my.
You know you did. Oh, jerks. Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, well, this game has a season pass. Oh, it has characters that aren't in it yet, but I can just, get it, and, like, eventually they'll be in there. It's like, or I can just wait, and then, like, in the fall, holiday season, or whenever, it'll be on sale for cheap, and I can get that for cheap, too, and it'll be, like, way less minus $60, and then not having all the stuff in the game, and not enjoying it because of that. Or, having more stuff to do in the game. So, yeah. It's whatever, man. Just like Injustice 2, it's like, I'd like to play that game, but it didn't have Ninja Turtles at the beginning, did it? No. And then, if I would have got the game, I would have somehow been roped in to be like, oh, Ninja Turtles. I'm going to buy Ninja Turtles. Like, no, I already spent my money, and I am not, like I said, ain't no ching-ching machine or some ATM you can just stick your card in, and money pops out of it. Okay, I'm a glowy orange spot. That's not how that works.
Oh my.
So, you're going to have to do that with somebody else, because Tekken ain't doing it for it. Yeah, it's not happening. So, but now they see the Ninja Turtles in it. I can just wait until it's got that sweet Game of the Year edition, like all the other Neversoft, or, not Neversoft, NetherRealm fighting games that I've been buying for super cheap. All these, like, they always do that now. It's like, oh, there's Mortal Kombat X XL. All these characters we added. It's like, oh, I'll just wait. And I did. And it's $20. It's great. Just like effing Injustice. It's like, yeah, I'll just wait. Whatever. I've got patience and time. Whatever. So it's like I've learned my lessons over the year of getting burned so many effing times because this energy is so terrible with that. I'm so traumatized and everything from like all the times I've been burned. Nintendo knows they've done it to me. Effing, that's why I don't have a Switch. They know what's up. They know the score. Just ask them. But yeah, effing, yeah, I'm done with this. That was crap. Just got season pass. It's Kids Death of Tekken. Got other garbage going on. Like, oh, you got this stuff going. No, it's more than $60 version. It's like, oh, guess what? Tekken ain't buying it. Oh, have fun with that. Not getting my money. I think the last game was Tekken 7, because I was like, well, it is Tekken, and I got it, and season passed, and it was just extra fighters, and then one of them was Final Fantasy. I was like, what is this? Whatever. I was like, I'm never again. Just all the characters to bring back. Where's Lei Wulong? Where the F is Lei effing Wulong? I want some effing Super Cop action. No Lei Wulong. Go F yourself, Harada. Thanks a lot.
Go F yourselves, bruh.
But yeah, that's where I stand. It's like you got other stuff in your game that's like a thingy that's added on. That's like, oh, on top of the $60 you already paid, which is already enough or already a lot of money. It's like, oh, guess who's not made of money? Guess who's gonna wait? Guess who's not gonna buy a game? Because they know that not even 6 months. Who knows? Not even 6 weeks even. Like during the holiday season, it's like stuff's like super cheap and Black Friday that's like coming out the like couple months before. It's like, oh, well, I just waited. Oh, yeah. Sometimes you just wait. Unless it's that effing Game of a Dream game, like a flippin' Last Guardian or Shenmue 3 or Final Fantasy 7 remake or whatever. It's like, unless it's just touching my, I mean, I can't like keep saying this like this many times in this episode. Whatever, my glowing orange spot that makes me happy.
You've been touching yourself a lot.
Unless it goes to that spot, man, I'm not forking over the money. You're not getting that money out of my ATM. Ooh. So yeah, that's how I feel about that, and how I stand on those things. And then it's like the whole games as a service, or not games as a service, but like whatever the Microsoft is doing as far as like the whole, you get it. I don't know, whatever.
Game Pass.
That seems like that's gonna be possible. I mean, I think this is just like the first shot off the bow at retail. 'Cause it's like obviously if you can just get a bunch of games digitally, and then it's like on your account, and you can just not have to worry about. It's like what's on my Games Pass this month or whatever. Kind of like PlayStation Plus, like Tropical said, like you can just wait around a year and like, oh yeah, I've got all these free games as long as you get them. Just download it and be like, oh, I got a library right here, and it's only $60. So it's like the price of one game. I got a bunch of games. Or with the Microsoft thing, it's like the Netflix model where it's like I got a subscription and it just keeps added to the vault or whatever they want to call it, and I'll just have a ton of games eventually. Ah ha ha ha. F you, GameStop.
It's funny because like this is what they announced the Xbox One as like way back 5 years ago, but at the time they had no like benefits to show users. They're just like, it's always online. There's no more used games. Suck it, haha. You have no choice, or you do have a choice. You buy 360. I was like, really? That's what you think the choice is between? But now, like, they can, like, if they had led with benefits, I think it would have gone down differently. But they didn't. And now they're doing it anyways. But now people are really excited about it. Or I imagine they are. We're not really in that crowd, so we don't really know. But yeah, if we want to go into news, basically, as I mentioned, like, both Xbox One and PlayStation 4 were announced 5 years ago. PlayStation 4 was announced 5 years ago this month. Yesterday, I think. February 20th, 2013.
So are we like technically halfway through the generation? Is that how that works?
I don't know how it's gonna work anymore.
Does that mean we're gonna get another announcement like next year, and then we'll get the new console like a couple of years after that or something? Like, is this how this is gonna go? Is that what's happening? Are we done?
It's really crazy because usually there's like you sense a slowdown. Like there's less games coming out, and there's still like a few big ones, but there's just less games coming out, and then you get a console announcement. It's like, well, that's why. And then you get the few years of like games coming out on both generations,
and then they stop.
But like right now, it doesn't feel like there's a slowdown. Like it feels like we are in the midst of sort of the golden age. Just like tons of awesome games are coming out right now, and it feels like it would be stupid to just tomorrow come out and be like, hey, the system that you're super enjoying right now is dead.
It's all
We're moving
dead.
on.
Everything you love is dead. Like, I mean,
man.
not
That just
everything I
seems
love.
insane.
Yeah, I don't know how this generation will end up going, but I mean, it's nice that there's been such a nice flow of games. I mean, I was worried at the beginning of the generation. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of just like, I don't know, guys. But thankfully, that worry has been
Yeah, man, after Watch Dogs,
alleviated.
I was like, dude, this is kind of hype. Crash.
I was
It was just better
concerned.
graphics.
Yeah, so I'm glad that didn't end up being the case, because
No, yeah,
that would have
yeah.
sucked. But
Seeing ridiculous, amazing stuff this generation. It's kind of feeling like, we always talk about the PS2 was the greatest generation, maybe.
Yep.
This is looking really good.
I mean, PS2.
Yeah, it's
had
hard to
some
say if
pretty
PS2
great games.
keeps
I
that
mean, some of my favorite games are PS2 games. So I mean, I don't know.
So you think the thing like why
Kingdom
that-
Hearts came out during that generation. I mean,
So you think the thing that like screws over this gen versus that gen is like because we talked about like publishers are so risk averse, it's like they're not going to do enough new stuff to be like, well, what's going to be cool and different and interesting. It's like sequel. Money. Franchise.
I mean, I'm not against like franchises if they're good. I mean, I know people are always like, "Oh, why don't we have new IPs and stuff?" But it's like, well, I mean,
I'm just saying,
eventually
it's
you're
like
gonna get a new game, and you're gonna want. I mean, people are gonna want to build into that universe. I mean, there's gonna always be sequels.
it
It's
just
just
seems like
whether or
all
not they're
like a lot of
good.
the franchises that we had like started to go downhill to where it's like, let's take a break. Assassin's Creed. It's like, oh, okay. And then Origin came out. I was like, okay, well, I guess taking a break was worth it. And so maybe we can just like not churn them out every effing year and just
Well, that was just dumb on their part to do that whole annually thing like it was Call of Duty. It's like
everybody
you
wanted to
can't
beat Call of
really.
Duty with a new game every year because you know we need six
That was
development teams making one franchise. Ugh.
That was really insane. Like, yeah, one of the news stories is that Ubisoft has basically come out and said, we're not going to do any releases. Like, if we need to, we're going to take more time to make them good, or something to that effect. But yeah, like now that you mention it, it's really insane. Like Madden was always the annual release thing, and it was sort of every game was kind of the same, and you know they could add very little innovation because they had such short development time. And then Call of Duty sort of came and they wanted to do annual, and they sort of went with a different approach. Like, well, you know, we want annual, but we don't want it to be like people will buy football because football doesn't change really. So
yeah, like the
of
rules
course,
don't change. Don't
yeah. But it's like Call of Duty. Like you can't make the same Call of Duty every year. We have to make them kind of different. But you know, a year isn't long enough to make them different. How do we do that? And it became like the multi-studio approach. Like they all work on the same franchise, but they're like every
They have
other year.
different.
So they have 2 years to develop. And you know, this gen was like they have 3 years to develop. And I guess they made a ton of money, and Ubisoft was like, we need to do that too. We should also do that. And so they had that with Assassin's Creed for a while. But I think they did it a bit better as far as innovation. Like the Ezio trilogy, like each one was pretty different. But at the same time, I guess, you know, it really isn't enough time to come up with something really fresh.
Well, not only that, it's like they kind of saturated their own market, strangely enough. So it's like, well,
There was that year with the 2 Assassin's Creed games that were different, and yeah. And so yeah, they at least Ubisoft is taking a step back and like, okay, annualized release, like while it was awesome to get, you know, people to buy our game every year, like maybe they weren't as good as they could be, and so they're gonna try and make them better. Origins, people rave about Origins, so yeah.
I have not played it. I mean, I stopped playing after 3 because I was like,
Yeah,
I'm
after you
done.
guys took a dump on 3, I was like, I don't even know I want to play this game because I got it
Yeah,
free with my
3 was
PlayStation.
kind of just like, I think 3 was my breaking point. I was like, yep, this series is
Yeah, and then I
pretty
didn't
much
get to the
dead to me
prologue, and I was
now.
like, well, if this is the prologue, I don't even want to know what the rest of the game. Like bored.
Black Flag is so good though. But yeah.
Well, that's because it's all the pirate stuff. The only good parts of 3. The only good parts of 3. So it's like,
So
it couldn't fail.
good. But yeah, like some of the figures we learned about over this extended break that we had to take. And who knows when we'll be back.
Who knows?
Say what we can when we can.
Work is a mess right now.
PlayStation 4 is up to like 70-some million units. And like there was an article that came out during the break where someone was saying that we don't know Microsoft numbers anymore because they don't release them anymore. But the estimates are around 35 million maybe. So at less than or around half of what the PS4 install base is.
And I think the Switch is already above that too, actually.
The Switch is above Wii U, definitely. I don't know
I
what
saw
the
a news
numbers
story
are
on that
exactly.
one. Yeah, they said it was already surpassed their lifetime sales for Wii U. I was like, well,
Yeah.
that didn't take long. It probably
was
wasn't
like,
that hard either. So
That's pretty amazing.
that?
It's like, hey, RPG, remember Wii U and how neither of us bought one? Oh.
I know.
I was watching Pactor Factor, and then they were like having some discussion about Smash Brothers, and like someone said, well, it sells Nintendo consoles, and then like he was like, well, didn't sell Wii U. So I was like, oh, burn from
Oh, shots
factory.
fired! All of the
Oh.
shots fired.
So I remember, man, that was kind of what burned me on the Wii. It's like, can't wait for some Brawl, can't wait for Brawl, can't wait for Brawl. And the
Oh my gosh,
online
me too.
was garbage. And I was
It
like,
was so broken.
So
you know,
bad.
Nintendo, I wade through these droughts, and this is how you repay me. Ah, this is the last drought. Okay, man, I don't know if that was the last drought, but man, there was a lot of suffering in our relationship in that console generation. I gotta say, so. Switch will have to wait for a while because PlayStation 4 is so good. Mm.
I do still want to get a Switch though, because I mean there are games I want, but it's
Yeah.
like I have to make sure that everything is actually happening. So it's not like the Wii U scenario where it seems like there's things, and then all of a sudden it's like LOLs, LOLs. Welcome to our drought. Man, it just dies quietly in a corner. Although the Wii U seems like it kind of seems like an interim console between the Wii and the Switch. Because I mean, when you think about like
Yeah, especially
The-
if you look at
the
the
tech of it, it's
Robo
like, wow.
cardboard, whatever, Labo. We haven't talked about that either because that happened during the
Oh,
break.
yeah.
But it looks like it's just taking a bunch of ideas from the Wii and like, oh, it's weird and whimsical and weird stuff. Oh, look at us, we're Nintendo. It's a game that you play
So I
using
think-
cardboard cutouts. Ho. But it actually works this
So
time.
maybe it was always their intention for the Wii U
No
to
sense of
die,
art
and they were just
involved.
like, "It's our
There was
it's our testing ground. It's our testing." I mean, it was basically like a beta version of the Switch when you think
that's
about it,
true.
because I
Is
mean,
the screen, because we're always like, well, can you take it with you? No. What good is it then? What good is it?
it's because I mean, in all fairness, they're both basically glorified DSs, just home console versions of them, and it's like the Switch is just the actual full version of it now, whereas the Wii U was like you were stuck in your house with it, so kind of like. The Wii U was kind of like their beta test for the Switch, and then they were just like, "All right, we can get this out of beta now, and,
get this-
go ahead and release the actual console." And then that's what they did, because it's been doing pretty well, from what I've heard anyway. So
Quite well. Yeah, no, that article was about rumors that Microsoft was thinking about buying EA or Valve
Square or something. I saw
or
something about that was
PUBG
different.
Corp.
Never mind, that was a different story.
Now this one was about like, okay, they got the most powerful console now. What's happening? Like, what's their problem? And their problem is they have no exclusives.
Well, they cleaned house on all their development studios.
And they're like, okay, how do you get
It's like,
exclusives quickly? It's like, well, you buy other people and then, hey,
never used
that
it
doesn't
because-
actually usually work well for them.
It
so, probably not this time.
I mean,
remember
in
Fire
theory, if
Gotham
they would've
Rising?
actually
Remember that
used
studio?
this-
Remember Lionhead? And
Actually,
Fable
remember
and
a
how
lot
they're
of their
making a new one
studios.
that's not with them.
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Although they're making a new Fable now, aren't they? Is that a thing?
Did
I imagine that?
Somebody is.
Was that a fever dream? And I was just like, no, stop it,
Fever dream.
stop it. So
It's
maybe
like
it
they're
is
making a
really
new
happening.
RPG, but it's not the same development studio that used to make them.
Yeah.
That might actually be a
They're
good
gone.
thing, because I
But Peter
Yeah.
Molly knew it's his baby.
yeah.
That might be
Yeah.
good.
It's a charming game, really.
I don't know, man. I played. That's another thing. Like, I got to 3, and I was like, "Yep, I'm done. I'm done. This is it." The third one in these series are just not doing it for me. Just not doing it for me. So, just like, get it together, guys. Get it together. But I don't know. The problem is like, while in theory, yes, that plan would technically work if you were actually using the studios you bought, and not just like buying them for the sake of buying them and just kind of like putting them in a corner and just like, well, good luck with life, and try not to die when we don't feed you, because that's what's gonna happen. So
Remember Rare? Remember how they haven't made
Exactly.
anything good since they were acquired by Microsoft?
Ex-
Except for some people that are like, but Banjo, whatever, the racing one that nobody cares about.
I was just about to say they made another one. But yeah, so it's like it's one of those things. Like, yes, in theory, that would be a good idea. Say if you were Sony and buying like Media Molecule or something and actually letting them make stuff, then it's like, yeah, this is a great idea. But when you're doing it the way where you're buying Rare and then just kind of just letting them rot and not do anything, and it's like, well, I mean,
Anything that people want.
well, I would say, yeah, anything that people want. Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, well, it kind of, if you're gonna buy them and then destroy their and then not allow them to like do what they want to do and just like kind of just have it so that they can publish under you, then it's like, well, you could do this, you could just do this yourselves. You can make your own cookie cutter games if you want. They have enough money to do that, so it's like, just do it yourself. You don't have to buy other companies and destroy them to do it. So it's like why bother?
So violent.
Because it's exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing. And it's like, because like they get these, and the worst part is, it's like they've had exclusives and then they killed them because it's like I don't understand. I don't know what it is with Microsoft, but I feel like they're just like, you know what? We feel like this is a good idea on paper, but you know what? We don't like it anymore. So you're all done. You're all done. You can go home now. And it's just like, what is happening? Do we all just, because like they were scale bound, and then I was all excited about that, and then that never happened because they were just like, LOL, we canceled it. And then there's probably other stuff, but that was the only game I actually cared about from Microsoft. So it was like I didn't pay attention to anything else. Then there was that game that Gamer was excited about, but he said it was garbage. So it's like, well, that defeats the purpose. So it's just like, I don't know, man. It's like, and then they always go back to the same ones. It's just always Halos and Gears. It's like, when in doubt, it's like, let's just do one of those and we'll just stay afloat, I guess, because that's all we care about anymore. It's all we care about. Now there's some series where it's like, okay, we could probably not have so many sequels because it's like, all right, we're good. We're good, guys. We're good. I mean, I played one of the Gears and I was like, well, all right, I've played Gears now, so I'm good. And and I don't even remember which one it was, to tell you the truth, because I mean, from my understanding, they're all the same. But I think I played one of them at someone else's house, and it was a different one from the one I had actually bought or played or whatever. So I was like, well, this is basically the same game, right? So it's like, no, it's the sequel to this one, and this does this. I was like, yeah, it's the same game, because nothing seems to have changed gameplay-wise from what you have shown me. So, good job. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. People, stop allowing Microsoft to buy you. Money is not everything. Not if it's going to destroy you and bury you and make you turn into one of them. I'm stepping off my soapbox now.
What else do I have? Oh, so if you were interested in PlayStation VR, for some reason they decided to put them on sale again. I guess the holiday sales went really well, and they're like, yeah, $100 off for everybody until I think March 3rd is when the sale ends. So there was like 3 different bundles. The Gran Turismo one is down to 200. Then there was one for Doom VFR, which is how much is that one? 250, I think. And then I can't remember. Anyways, bundles for PlayStation VR are cheaper right now than they usually are.
And not only that, they do bonus games for PlayStation Plus for them too. So
yeah,
still get the benefits.
In fact, we recently had a week that had a ton of PlayStation VR releases. 5 of them, I think it was, 2 weeks ago. Some of them look kind of cool. There was like a Punch-Out game called Knockout League. There was one that is probably terrible, but looked kind of cool, looked kind of humorous, called Drunken Bar Fight.
I mean, in all fairness, I've always wanted to be in a bar fight because I want to hit somebody with the bar stool. But that
The game
aside,
is probably really bad, but it was like, oh, that is, that is a humorous thing that no one has done, as far as I know. Then there was another carnival game called the Pierhead Arcade that looked pretty neat. Then they announced there is going to be a physical release of that Rick and Morty game that they announced at PSX. Yeah, VR. I guess it sort of seemed like it had kind of died down a bit, but I guess no, there's a lot of games that just in the works.
I mean, only died down in the sense like it's not all in your face like it was before.
Yeah.
Just like every time you turn around, everybody's like, "Oh, I did this thing in VR. I did this thing. I went to this studio and they did this." And it's just like, "Oh my God, shut up, shut up, shut up! Everybody, just shut up." So, but now they're being a bit more quiet about it, so it's okay. So, yes. I mean, I still haven't seen anything that would make me want to get it, but at least there is like still support going on for it. So people who are interested can like play stuff and enjoy themselves and get motion sick and possibly die and all that other stuff and get trapped in there because anime has showed me so many things. So,
the dangers of VR.
Enjoy yourselves, Sword Art Online players, and how you get trapped in there. And if you die in the game, you die in real life, or is that dot hack? It doesn't matter. Either way, don't do VR. It's dangerous. So
Both of them. I think it was both of them.
it was, but still. Well, no, because I mean, at least in dot hack, I think it was just like they would go into a coma, so they had the opportunity to technically survive.
Maybe not die.
I was about to say it's like, but with Sword Art Online, yeah, they full on died because they microwaved their brain, which, yeah, that would pretty much kill you. So, but there are so many animes out there like that. There's Log Horizon. I think Overlord is like that too. It's like there's so many games where it's like, I mean, so many anime where it's like we warned ourselves, and yet here we are, still pushing that VR train, trying to make it more and more realistic. And it's just like it's fine. It's fine. When the eventual zombie robot dinosaur apocalypse / VR robot apocalypse happens, we brought this upon ourselves. We
want realistic death.
I mean, do we?
You do it so much in games. That is the one aspect that they haven't pushed the realism to the extreme yet.
Like, that's okay. I feel like that's okay.
We already talked about Burnout Paradise being announced, remaster.
To the Paradise City.
I'm curious about what the music selection is going to be like, because a lot of times these older remasters come out with far less music just because licensing is difficult. So,
although if they could just license the old track list, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like being in the whenever this came out again. Hey.
Like if it does, then I will be impressed. Just seeing as how like Grand Theft Auto 3 when it came out as a PS2 on PS4 thing was like, or no, it was Vice, or no, even Grand Theft Auto 3, it's like lost a lot of the music, and Vice City like lost a whole bunch of music, so kind of sad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because
Did you buy those?
Yeah,
licensed
played them though.
music.
It's very sad. Like Billie Jean, I remember hearing a lot. Driving around in Vice City is not in the game anymore.
Because, money, dear boy.
They announced something weird today called My PlayStation, which is, I guess,
weird.
supposed to be like a PlayStation. It's supposed to be like PSN when you're away from your PlayStation.
They already have an app for that?
Yeah, I tried looking at it today. I was like, so basically I can mess around with my profile in here, and that's kind of it. Like, is it the what's new section or something? Like the wall, basically. I was not sure. But they did it. That's the thing that they want to do. Also, in the break, there was firmware 5.5, I believe, went into beta.
Yeah, they did do beta testing or something.
Yeah, the big thing is supposed to be like now you can really sort of clean up your PlayStation 4 bit. So right now, if I go into my download list or my which is the library now on PS4, it's something like 2,000 items.
Jeez.
And many of those items are things like open betas of different games that are out already, so obviously I can't use the open betas anymore. Or like demos of games that I eventually bought. So there's just like a lot of junk in there. It's like, why is this taking up space in my library? It just makes everything more difficult to look for, and you'll be able to hide those things to tidy your library a bit. That is the only feature I can remember. Do you remember any other features?
Did I?
It's kind of lacking in awesomeness. Just like.
Yeah, it's not like a cool update like the one that made share videos 1080p.
Whenever I hear that they're going into beta for stuff like this, I always expect like something gigantic is going to be happening, but then
Yeah.
so I'm just like, oh, there's must be a lot coming in this one, but then it's just like I heard nothing about it. I was like, well, that's disappointing.
Well, the big thing that they showed when they announced the beta was that you would be able to. You didn't have to sign up for every beta anymore. You could just sign up this once, and then you would be signed up for all the betas, which is great and more convenient. I guess that's it for. Or no. The last one was Moss, the VR game that they showed that has the little mouse, is coming out next week, 27th. So yay!
That's fairly soon.
Only I'm excited. I think Tekken still has his VR packed up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you haven't even opened it?
No, I bought
He
it up.
put it away.
Oh. Sorry for the great migration thing. Forgot about that.
So are we signing off now, Tropical?
Let's sign off. Unless we want to do.
I
Oscar
mean, in
reviews.
other news, Kingdom Hearts, guys. Kingdom
Oh
Hearts.
yeah, I totally forgot about that one.
How did you forget?
I didn't write it down. I just thought I would remember it. Yeah, D23 Japan, which is like a Disney Expo, happened, and they showed 2 trailers for Kingdom Hearts 3. Looks really amazing, which you would expect, but the super cool part was that they debuted a part of the new Utada song, which is the theme for Kingdom Hearts 3.
That makes it official, guys. That makes it official. I said so many times that until they show a trailer with the actual theme song, that it's not real. And then they're just like, here you are, RPG. Here's what you asked for. And I was like, thank you, Square. Thank you. This is all I was asking for, and you did it. Bring her out of retirement, force her to make a song, and let her do whatever she wants after that. But it's happening. She was actually on hiatus, which actually worried me. I was like, well, Kingdom Hearts 3 is never coming out, so there's that. But then all of a sudden, I see in my news feed, it's like, hey, theme song trailer. And I was like, what? Theme song trailer for what? For what? What's happening? What is life? And then next thing you know, it happened. And I was like, well, it's real. It's real. Kingdom Hearts 3 is actually happening. It wasn't a lie.
Most like Square Enix trailers have had release dates, or at least release years on them. But yeah, because of the song, the 2018 at the end of these two trailers feels like, oh my gosh, 2018 is coming out this year.
Actually happen. It's gonna actually happen. I'm so excited, guys. So excited. Oh, well, it's probably gonna be 2018 in Japan. Might not be here. But still. At least I know it's actually gonna happen. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. So I'm happy now. They also debuted a new world, which is Monster Inc., which is one of my least favorite Pixar properties, but it's fine.
Monster Hunter Inc.?
Nope, unfortunately, just Monsters Inc. The one with the monsters and the ink, because no one cares about it. I mean, that and Cars, but that's not in there, thankfully, so we're okay. But yes. But I'm excited. So excited. Guys, you don't understand how excited I am. Guys, I'm excited. I've been watching the trailers every day. Don't judge me. Now we're done.
Okay. So yeah, check us out. Aimless Podcast, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever else. I'm forgetting.
Try to get that aimlesspodcast.com working again. That might be nice.
It's broken?
It's been broken, and then I didn't really look at it after I couldn't figure it out, and so it's just been sitting. But maybe it's a new year. Schedule's all up in the air, but we got. At least we can say we did one in 2018.
It's true. Not wrong. He's not wrong. We'll always have February.
Anything to say before we sign off, RPG?
Kingdom Hearts.
Anything to say before we sign off, Tropical?
Also Kingdom Hearts.
So yeah, until you hear from us again, Aimless Babble Z. And we're now signing off. Go play Monster Hunter World because it's awesome.